What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of GG Gaming. I'm your host, Andrew, and with me today I have PapaGenos.
Hey, what's up, guys?
So, yeah, we didn't have an episode last week because nobody was around to record, and I didn't want to just have myself talking by myself because I'd rather have quality over, I guess, having an episode every week. Unless that's something people want to hear. I don't know, but... so, this one's late this week. Rick and Ryan's been busy finishing up school. Alpha's had some stuff going on. And I guess you've been pretty busy as well. So hopefully in the future we'll be a bit more consistent. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, so what have you been up to, man?
Not a whole lot. Yeah, I mean, it's been... I say not a whole lot, but yeah, it's been a busy week. I mean, we had like the Direct came out. So there was a lot of stuff leading up to that I was doing. We had Amiibos come out this week, so it's been a pretty busy week for me, you know, Smash-wise, and then just with my own stuff, it's, you know, just life and stuff, was fairly busy on top of that, so kind of just been all over the place, but it's been an exciting week for Smash stuff, as far as, you know, the post-game coming out era that we're in. This week had some cool stuff coming out, and new Nintendo stuff, so always excited about that.
Yeah, there's a couple things I want to discuss that I'm excited for. But before that, have you been playing anything?
I played Smash. I played a little bit of Kingdom Hearts 3.
Nice.
And then a friend of mine PS4 broke, so I actually let them borrow my PS4 because they're a really big Kingdom Hearts fan. So yeah, they're playing that now. I said, you know what, you've been waiting years and years for this game, so like, here you go. I was so unfortunate that PS4 broke literally right when this happened, so they're borrowing it. So as of right now, still just kind of messing around in Smash.
So did they have their data backed up, or they didn't even start Kingdom Hearts 3?
They didn't even start Kingdom Hearts 3. It actually, their PS4 broke like the week before it came out. Mm-hmm. And the issue was like, it's not showing up on the TV, so we don't know if it's an HDMI issue or if it's like the hard drive's fried. I don't know. I took a look at it. Like I'm pretty decent at fixing stuff like that. I used to fix cell phones, and I worked at like a GameStop for a little while. I worked at a retro game store for like 5 years, and we did some like maintenance stuff here and there, and I could not figure out what's wrong with the PS4. So
now, do they have PlayStation Plus so they can upload their save data to the cloud and grab it when they have their own PS4 again?
Yeah, I assume that, and they're going to make a Kingdom Hearts save, and we're just going to use like a USB to get it off mine.
Oh, okay.
Eventually put it on a new one, but
assuming you can do that, because I know some games you can't, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we haven't tried it yet, so hopefully they can.
And
but
then,
I mean, I'm only going to borrow it if they beat it. Whatever. It'll be stuck on my PS4, but at least they'll have played it.
I don't know if they care or not, but if they don't back it up to the cloud, to their account, then I don't think they'll keep any trophies they got. But
yeah, I don't think they really care too much about like achievements and trophies and all that stuff. Honestly, I think they just really wanted to play the game. They're not like a super hardcore gamer person. So I'll put it that way.
Now, did you play Resident Evil 2 at all?
No, I haven't played that either, but a friend of mine is like super into it, and he's been telling me it's awesome. So if I get my PS4 back, that's actually probably one game I'll pick up immediately. So I'll probably play play the rest of Kingdom Hearts 3, and that once I get my PS4 back.
So are you a big fan of Resident Evil?
Not like a huge fan, but I have played them in the past. Mm-hmm. Resident Evil 4 was my favorite on GameCube. That was the one I really liked.
That was my first Resident Evil game, and so I went back and played the older ones. So I'm a big fan of Resident Evil and Kingdom Hearts.
Cool.
So unfortunately,
it was a good time for you.
Yes, except for the fact that they both came out like at the same time. So I played Resident Evil 2. And then I had Kingdom Hearts 3 sitting next to me, and I was like, I gotta finish 2 before I jump into 3. I gotta finish Resident Evil 2 before I jump into Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah.
And so that was a little bit of torture, and then finally finished it and enjoyed it. I wasn't upset that I was playing 2 and couldn't play Kingdom Hearts 3. It's just that, there were 2 games I wanted to play.
Right, when you go through like sometimes months of, man, there's no games I really like out right now. I don't know what I should be doing. And then you get like a bunch all at once. It's always,
Yeah, so Resident Evil 2 was amazing. There was a couple of things they did differently than the old games that some things were a good, like a welcome change, and other things were like a why did they do that kind of change. Like, they removed some of the enemies, so you don't expect to see any giant spiders.
Okay.
The IVs, I don't know why they did this, but they're completely different. If you remember, did you play the original Resident Evil 2?
Yeah, I played Resident Evil 2. It's been a long time, but yeah, I have played it.
You remember the IVs? They were the like walking plants.
Yeah.
They're out of the game. Instead, there's an enemy called Ivy, and it's a zombie with seedling things stuck inside of it. So it's got plants growing out of it, which it's an interesting enemy. Like, it's cool, but it's a different one. It's just an odd choice that they would
replace something like that so majorly.
Yeah, it's odd that they would just completely remake an enemy. There was let's see, the roaches aren't enemies anymore. Now they're just kind of like in the atmosphere, like in the environment, which I think is okay.
You want to kill them anyway?
No, they're just like I specifically remember a part when you're going through a pipe and then they're there, and it's just like, oh, gross. And I think in the morgue, when you open one of the things that the bodies go on, like the character jumps back because there's a bunch of roaches on the thing. So it's like they're part, which I think is okay, because I could see it being annoying fighting roaches because they're small, and it's kind of just like almost unnecessary. So I can see that as a change that's okay. I also really liked the giant, whether it's an alligator or a crocodile, I forget, but I like the change with that. Instead of a boss fight, it became a like action sequence.
Okay.
And I thought that was a welcome change. I actually thought it was really cool. I don't know, maybe some people will be upset at that, but I thought that was a cool sequence in the game, how they utilized that.
Personally, like, if they're gonna like remake a game, I kind of prefer when they do some surprising different things.
Yeah, I just don't like when they take an enemy and completely remake it into something it's not.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely weird.
That's really the only issue I have really with the game, at least in terms of the enemies. Like, they took I don't know if significant is the right word, but they took like a main enemy that's been in a couple of other games too, and just completely changed it. Like, why? Like, it kind of messes with the canon. Like is this what the IVs always were, or is this a new enemy that's also called IV, or is this like a completely different universe? Or like, it just kind of messes with the canon of it.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, is this what they were going for, and they did something different initially? Was this like...
Yeah, because the whole point...
a totally different universe now, because it's not the same?
The whole point of the Ivy was that it was there were plants that were given the T-virus, and then they kind of started walking on their own and whatnot. And they're very slow and like, I don't know the right word, slothful or not clumsy, but they're very slow, and that kind of, I suppose, attributes to the fact that they are plants and they're not supposed to really move on their own. So that works, and it's very fitting. And then to just completely take away the fact that a plant was given the T-virus and say, hey, we put T-virus plants inside people now. And it's like, these are zombies with, like, vines and stuff. I'm like, they're cool enemies, but they're different, you know?
Yeah, I mean, maybe they were thinking, like, I don't know where they plan on going with the series or what, but maybe they were like, if plants can get the T-virus, like, would that mean if the T-virus, like, just had an outbreak, would, like, all the plants in the world come to life? Like, does that really make sense? Maybe they're just trying to retcon it for something like that. I don't know.
It makes sense either way. It's apocalyptic. I mean, the only thing I could think of is that both exist simultaneously, and that for some reason we didn't see the original IVs, and that maybe this IV was also dubbed IV. Like, I suppose if you want to work it into the canon, you could say both exist simultaneously, but for some reason you didn't encounter the other ones.
Yeah, like they took the same plant thing and put it inside corpses of people or something.
It's kind of like how there are different kinds of zombies, but like based on what virus they're infected with, but they're still zombies.
Yeah.
So, like specifically, you have the C virus zombies in Resident Evil 6, and you have the classic T virus zombies. And actually, I think there are offshoots of the T virus that cause certain zombies to become Crimson Heads, which were exclusively in the Spencer Mansion in the first game. So it's kind of like the T virus itself is broken down into multiple types of T viruses. So technically you have different types of zombies, but they're not significantly different in appearance. So I suppose you can really work into the canon like, oh, this is also quote unquote an IV, but its cause is a bit different than the effect, I suppose.
Yeah, like maybe it's a slightly different strain of the T virus or something, but it's, this is what an IV is, what I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
that's the only thing I think of.
Science.
Although they are a cool enemy and they are scary, and they do have. I think they're the only enemy in the game with a one-hit kill, which is a little annoying.
Oh, that's cool.
But like it's just odd that they would replace an older enemy. Was really the only thing. The other kind of problem, but not too big of a deal problem I have is that the scenarios are different between Leon and Claire, but some of them share the same boss, which I suppose would both be taking place at the same time of each other's scenario. So you're kind of like, where's the other character? Yeah. Like, for example, and I'm trying to stay away from spoilers, but at the same time, this is stuff from a very old game.
Yeah, I mean, it's Resident Evil 2.
I'm like, not too worried about tiptoeing about things that are already known in the original. But like, for example, when you fight Birkin the first time, when you fight him as Leon, you go into an area and then he like breaks the floor and you fall down. But then when you fight him as Claire, it's very similar. And you're kind of like, you're in the same room, so you're kind of like, so does he come back and you fight the other character? The other character fights him. But twice, the most significant break from immersion is the final time you fight him with Leon. Is which form is the one where he's standing on two legs and he has
the big eyeball thing in his
and shoulder. He has like the two huge arms on his back. I think it's his fourth form or maybe third form.
Oh yeah, okay. I know what you're talking about.
So you fight him like right after you get the G virus, or is it the virus or the antidote? I think it depends on which character you're playing as. I think for Leon you get the virus. And
so the arms almost look like wings, right?
Yeah,
they're like
I think that's what they were like supposed to be design-wise, because the point of the G virus is the intention of the design behind the G virus was kind of like an angel.
Yeah. Okay.
Or like a fallen angel. So like the quote-unquote wings are like giant arms. There's actually been some confusion over the name. I think G was originally supposed to stand for God, and then I think they recently called it, I think, Goliath or something, or some. I think I had to actually look up online what the word meant, so I don't even remember the word. Goliath, or I don't know, but there was some confusion with that, and so anyway. There's a point in the game where you fight him with Leon, but then when you play Claire scenario, because that's the order I played him in. I'm sure it's similar when you play it in reverse. You play as Claire first, but then when you go back to the same area, you want to you're looking for the antidote for Sherry. So you go to the same room, and the G virus isn't there, or like it's empty, and I guess that makes sense because Leon took it, or it just wasn't there. Like, I don't know, but then on the way back,
chronologically, obviously, it can kind of go either way. I guess. I guess what character you played first, so.
But then
canonically,
but then on the way back, it's like that same cutscene where Annette tries to attack Birkin in that same form again, and you fight him again. So you're like, wait a second, why am I fighting him if Leon already did this? It's kind of like
that's weird. Like,
it's kind of like when you're
did it
playing
happen once and it just happened to happen again?
Yeah, it's kind of like when you played as one character, it didn't happen for the other character. But when you're playing the second run, which is specifically like the other character's point of view from your playthrough, or like let's for example,
what you did is supposed to have happened.
Yeah. So why in that why in the second run are you fighting the same boss? Like, they could have replaced it with Mr. X or something, you know? Like, maybe you could see that the room is already destroyed because the character you played as first already fought the monster, and then maybe Mr. X appears or something. That could have been a good time to introduce a new enemy, if they really want to. Or they could have introduced the original Ivy, or like they could have done something.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna add new things to it, like that might have been the right point to do it, because you're gonna kind of break the timeline anyway.
There's been those are really the only issues I have with the game. One, it kind of messes with the timeline when you're doing some of the same events over again. Like, I can understand going through the police station again and the lab again and everything and having to get the keys and stuff again because they need some kind of gameplay. But that kind of falls under the line of, like, if you get attacked by an enemy, it's like that didn't canonically happen because otherwise Leon and Claire would have the T-virus, you know?
Right.
You know, or like the same as like in an RPG when a character dies, they didn't actually die in the story because canonically they didn't die in the battle.
Yeah, I mean, it's a game. You got to be able to play the game.
So I can get behind that, but then it's kind of when you take major events in the timeline or like alter enemies, it's a little.
Well, when you're trying to tell some sort of story, like there should be some sort of coherent, like, you know, even if you take the gameplay aspects out of it, there should be a coherent, like, well, this is what happened. Like you said, if you get attacked by a zombie, you should have the virus. But, like, you know, you can, in my head, I can be like, yeah, but like canonically, what happened was it was a perfect run. They never got hit. Exactly. You know, like. So,
like, I think like what they could have done was if you fought Birkin as Leon or Claire, and then in the second one when you use Claire or Leon, it should have been like Mr. X appears or in like that ruined area. Like that could have been a perfect. Like alternative, you know, it's like there's a couple of inconsistencies in the story where you kind of just have to like pretend, oh, I guess Leon never encountered this thing, even though this is the alternate, this is the other person's point of view from my original playthrough, so I should have already fought him. You know, it's just like weird. But then like there are branching points where when in the first scenario. Which I'm just gonna say Leon because that was the one I played as first. So like with Leon, I fought Mr. X at the end of the game, and then with Claire, I fought Birkin at the end of the game. So like there were some diverging things throughout the game too, but the overlapping things threw me off. It kind of like threw me out of the immersion. Like, wait a second, didn't I already do this? There's an area where only Claire can go one way and she can't access the other way, and then it's the alternate with Leon. So I'm like, that okay, that's cool, that makes sense. You're exploring two different areas, but they're not huge. They're like smaller. So I think if they did a little bit of that more, it could have been a little bit better. But don't get me wrong, I still love the game. You know, it's just I'm trying to like nitpick here and say like I think this is a weakness that they could have done better, but. I'm already excited.
I definitely agree that it's weird, like, to have the game, you know, tell one story and then, okay, you're supposed to replay it from another character's perspective, and it doesn't match up with the story you just played, or it can't, or, you know, you have the huge leap of faith that just happened again or something.
Yeah, like if you're playing as Leon, like, there could have been some things, like, if you're playing as Leon and Birkin destroys a floor, like, when you get there as Claire, either Leon didn't encounter him yet, so you shouldn't fight him, or there can be a hole in the floor, and like you need to find an alternate route, and
and they can give you a different path.
Don't fight him, or you fight a different enemy. You know,
right? Yeah.
So, I guess somewhat canonically they're supposed to be together at the same time, but then like why is the other character not there?
Right,
so it's
then
a little
you have,
strange.
like, if I play as Leon, then I
feel like they didn't know what they wanted to do with that. Like, I know if you've ever played Umbrella Chronicles and Darkside Chronicles, the other character is there with them. Like, the two of them go together. So when you play multiplayer, both characters are shooting.
Maybe they're trying to avoid Resident Evil 5. They're trying to avoid that.
But I didn't mind that, honestly. But even still, like, I don't know. It's I suppose it's kind of tough to decide what the best course is, but if you're going to do the characters by themselves, then don't overlap certain major aspects. Like I can see little things overlapping, like picking up the same keys and stuff, because you need the game to play. But major cutscenes,
like you said, like having the same key, that's a gameplay thing, because that's just like I can suspend my disbelief if like I had to unlock a door with one character and I come back to the same area. It's like, all right, well, they still want me to have to, have an obstacle at this point, so the door's locked. That's fine. I can get behind that.
Because it's not like a cutscene where the character's like, oh, I need the key for this door. If they made a cutscene out of it, then it's like, oh wait, then this is kind of canon. But it's like when it's not a cutscene, you're kind of like, you're able to suspend your disbelief some more, because it's kind of like, this is
like if I were to have to tell the story of what happened, I might not say, and then at that point I had to go find the key in the room that I just get to get through the door. It'd be like, no, you go through the building. Like I just say that. Like,
yeah, I'm also a little baffled because you had two major, like you could have potentially made two major villains with Birkin and Mr. X. So why not play off of that and not have both characters fighting the same bosses and seeing similar cutscenes? Like you have Annette after you get the G virus with Leon, and then Birkin attacks you, and then Annette appears, and then the same exact thing happens again.
It doesn't make sense.
And I was sitting there, and I'm like, wait, she was already attacked. So
was the G virus? Is it called Golgoth?
Yeah,
is that right?
I think Golgoth.
I think that's it.
Are you looking it up? Because I think that's the right word.
Yeah.
Yeah, Golgoth. Yeah, I forget, but but some people were upset that they called it that, because it makes more sense if you call it the God virus, because the antidote is called the devil.
Okay, and they were trying to it makes sense if the arms are supposed to be wings, like a fallen angel type thing. Yeah.
So now it kind of doesn't make sense.
Yeah, maybe they just wanted to avoid that. I don't know,
but so you have Kingdom Hearts 3 and you played it a bit?
Just a very little bit. I literally played like a day or two of it. That was it. And then my friend, she ordered hers online, and so she didn't get it the day it was coming out, but her PS4 was broken. And I was like, well, let me take a look at your PS4. So I took her PS4 home, and I was trying to make it work. I was trying to get it to work, and I couldn't. And then she got the game again, 2 days after the game came out. She got it in the mail, and she was super bummed out. And I was like, here, why don't you just borrow my PS4? You're a way bigger Kingdom Hearts fan than I am. And when you're done with it, I'll just take the PS4 back. So
did she play all the Kingdom Hearts games?
Yeah. Okay. She, I say all. I don't know if she's played every single one, but I know she's played some of them on the DS. I know she played 1 and 2. I know she played one of the 2.5 or 2.8, at least one of those ones. And I know for a fact that she got a PSP specifically to play the PSP Kingdom Hearts games. So I'm guessing she played most of them, if not all of them.
Okay. And they actually do a decent job at trying to catch you up to speed with certain things. Like every time you encounter a new character, or even hear certain terminology in your menu in the Gummy phone, where it has all the, I guess, the encyclopedia pretty much for you. They explain the new terminology mentioned. They explain the new characters. So if you're kind of confused and you haven't played the older games, well, if you've played the older games, you might not be confused. But so if you're a little bit confused, you could kind of get a little bit caught up just by taking a look at the terminology and the characters, which I read through them anyway, because I like to immerse myself in every piece of information, even if I've seen it already. Because I'm like, this is in the, because I don't know, Kingdom Hearts is my favorite game series, or definitely one of them, if not my favorite, but I'm pretty sure it's my favorite. So whenever I see any piece of information or lore, it's like, I gotta read it. And even if it's something I already know, because maybe there's a new piece of information in there.
Yeah.
For example, and there's been a couple of, I don't know if they've been retcons or not, but I remember in one of the older games, I don't know if it was 1 or 2, but I remember some kind of Ansem report, and I think it was from Ansem the Wise, the original, the actual researcher, and not not the Xehanort.
Yeah.
I remember him saying something about, like, it was odd that when Xehanort turned into a Heartless, he kept his own body, like his appearance. And so I thought that meant that he was just, for some reason, a special case, and maybe it had something to do with who he was and the fact that he had two hearts or whatever. But then
he was able to keep his body.
Yeah,
and still
but
become
then
Heartless.
they kind of retconned it where Riku, during loading screens in this game, they have like almost like a Twitter post from a character. And one of them has Riku saying that he heard that Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, initially didn't have a body, and then he kind of questions. He's like, "Is it because he possessed me that now he has a form?" So it's like, oh, did they retcon that, or So there's like a couple of like new pieces of information from old lore that they're kind of, I guess, explaining, and I'm like, oh, that's cool.
I mean, I have heard online, because I read people's comments on things, and I just read up about games and stuff, and I have heard people say, like, Kingdom Hearts 3 is the first Kingdom Hearts game I played, and like, I wasn't confused. Like, I heard people being like, I wasn't that confused. Like, it wasn't that hard to follow. Obviously, they're not getting like the full experience that way. But I've played some of the other Kingdom Hearts games, like 1 and 2 at least. So
I think
I don't have that experience. But people are saying it's not that confusing. So
I gotta say that I think you could still enjoy this game even if you haven't played any Kingdom Hearts game. It does a decent job of catching you up with things whenever you hear something that you should have known. And then it's kind of like, oh, that's what this is. And you're like, okay. But obviously, you're missing out on a chunk of the story. It's like watching the last chronological Star Wars movie without having seen the others.
Right. This is enjoyable, but I don't really get
it. It's like the introduction tells you like what happened last time, but it's like you didn't experience it. So you're kind of like, okay, I get what's going on here. Now let me watch the final Star Wars movie. It's like you really should go back and watch the other ones first, but this is like
that was my big problem with The Witcher 3. I don't know if you played Witcher 3, but everybody told me it was like such a great game and I need to play it and blah, blah, blah. And I tried to get into it, and I really put a good amount of hours into that game. And I just I hadn't played the other ones. I know it's like a book series as well. And I just don't know anything about the lore. And the game kept asking me like, what do you think about this character? And like, how do you want to react to this and stuff like that? And I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I don't know the main character's, Geralt or whatever. Like, I don't know his personality. Like, I'm like, I don't know what I should choose. So it was weird. I couldn't get into it because of that.
I also want to say that I didn't spoil anything when I was talking about Kingdom Hearts. This was stuff that's already known, and just in case anybody's like, oh, no, I didn't want to hear that.
Oh, I didn't want
that was like nothing, But speaking of The Witcher 3, Monster Hunter World has the Witcher event that they added, where you play as Geralt, and
oh, cool.
So that was pretty cool. But the monster was the Leshen, I think, and it was really annoying to fight.
I don't really play Monster Hunter too much. I have friends who absolutely love it, but I know the Leshen from I read the Hellboy comics. I like Hellboy a lot, and I know that was in one of the comics. It was like a big bear monster thing with antlers. Like, that's how they displayed it and how they portrayed it in Hellboy.
He wasn't like a bear. He was kind of like scrawnier. I don't know.
I mean, that's just how Hellboy portrayed it. I mean, it's a legendary creature. He's always do it differently.
He was cool. He was just annoying to fight.
Cool.
Like, annoying in a bad way. Like, and I'm not, and it's not one of those like get good moments. Like, I did beat him like 3 times. It's just he was annoying. Like, each time I fought him, I did better. Like, because I knew what to expect. It's just he still did things that were annoying. Like why would you do, like, why would they program that kind of thing? But you're like, oh, okay, whatever. Like, I still survived it. I still beat him 3 times because I tried to get the 100% ending with Geralt, where you solve all the problems. And one of them was you actually save one of the enemies called the Puke that is wrapped up in these tree branches that the Leshen did. So then when you fight the Leshen, it appears in the battle and kind of distracts some of the lesser enemies for you. but in order to get the 100% ending with him, he has to survive. And so the second time I played it, he died against Leshen, like 5-10 seconds before I killed the Leshen, he died, and I was like, no!
Oh, jeez.
So then I played it a third time, and actually was able, he actually survived. So,
yeah.
So that's what happened with that, and he was still a cool enemy in terms of lore and whatnot. He was really awesome. His character design is cool. His attacks, although annoying, they were cool. He controls groups of creatures, I guess. So he has these they're called revultures in Monster Hunter. They're these pretty much scavenger birds, and they fly around him, and
that's pretty cool.
You have to use Gerald's fire attack to kind of disperse them, but then they eventually come back. And then he summons some, one of the first lesser monsters in the game. He summons them in threes, and they don't flinch, so they're really annoying.
You can't they basically have that effect in video games where you get hit and your character starts flashing like in old video games where you're invincible for a second. You can't push them back.
No, you just you when you attack them, or at least a lot of your attacks on them, they don't flinch. Usually when you run into these regular monsters, when you attack them, they kind of they get hurt with they actually move they were affected by your attack.
Okay, so they're or you push them back slightly, or they're unable to hit you for a moment or something.
But in this boss fight, they don't get flinched. They still continue with their attacks. Annoying. So they're really annoying. But they die in one hit when you use Gerald's fire attack. But the problem with his fire attack is it has to recharge. So I feel like they could have made it a little less annoying if they made that attack recharge faster. I think if they adjusted that battle just slightly, it would be a little bit more fun. Make the fire, or at least because you can get it with your when you beat it, you get that fire attack. But maybe with Gerald, it should recharge faster or something for that battle, or
just for that. Fighting.
There should be some kind of tweak just to make it a little less annoying. I don't know, but the Puke is the monster that you save, and he's really helpful because he'll get those lesser enemies to go after him. And then if he kills them, then
you definitely want them
off
of your character if they're not flinching when you're hitting them.
So it just becomes a battle between you and the Leshen, and anything he summons goes after the Puke. And then when there's no lesser enemies, the Puke attacks the Leshen too, and he winds up poisoning him for you and stuff. So it is really helpful.
Cool.
So let's talk about that direct now that we've talked about
Nintendo Direct.
We talked a lot about Resident Evil 2 and Kingdom Hearts, which I can always go on and on about. Because
I don't want to spoil anything for people, but I think it's so early in the game. But I only made it to Olympus. That's where I'm at. It's the first thing.
You're technically not even in Kingdom Hearts 3 yet. Because
basically,
when you first start, they say Kingdom Hearts 2.9. And then you actually don't start the story of Kingdom Hearts 3 until after Olympus, because Sora still has.
I could have played what I played months ago.
So the outfit Sora has in the very beginning is the same outfit he's had, I guess, from Kingdom Hearts 2. So when you actually beat Olympus and you go back to Yensid and report some stuff, whatever, you also get a new outfit. And then it's Kingdom Hearts 3, and then you have your new outfit and whatnot, and you're like,
okay, so. Sorry, my phone's going off.
I don't care. Hello. I feel like I'm going to leave that in because it's funny.
Go for it. Usually when I film stuff, I take the phone off the hook, but there's people downstairs, so.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, let's go into that direct before.
Okay,
it's
let's
too
go
late.
into the direct.
So I don't remember what was revealed chronologically first. I know it was revealed...
Mario Maker. Mario Maker was first.
I remember what was revealed chronologically last, so I'll save that for last because I'm really excited about that.
Me too, dude. That was.
Yo.
Oh,
that was the highlight of that direct for me. So Mario Maker 2, I didn't play the first one, but I love watching people play it online. I like watching people make levels and other people play them. And I do like, there's two in particular. One, and I'm upset that I forgot his name, because he's a really good Mario player, and he was entertaining to really watch. And I'm so sorry I forgot his name, but he was really entertaining, and he was really good at Mario, and he would like stream stuff, and I would watch his like hour-long YouTube videos here and there of him playing.
Yeah.
And then the other one I watch occasionally was Game Grumps. Like I'll just jump on to see like an episode of them. But like I didn't follow from the beginning them playing Mario Maker. I would just jump on occasionally and see them playing a level.
I mean, Mario Maker is just, it's not like a game that you beat the level, you get to the next level. It's just you're playing random levels, basically.
Well, here's
Especially
the thing.
if you go online. That's the best way to play, is just, online random levels that people have made. So, yeah, I mean, you can just jump in and watch a single, level, and it's exciting and cool.
And here's the thing, I suck at Mario. So, like old school Mario, I didn't grow up with a Nintendo or Super Nintendo. So, when I got like the NES Classic and tried to play Mario, and actually the Mario Anniversary Collection that came with 1, 2, and 3 on the Wii.
Yeah,
I couldn't, like, I sucked at it. I was terrible. I actually was considering, if I knew how to stream it online, I would have made like a series called like I Suck at Mario, and just like
Mario.
I couldn't, and not even on purpose. Like I was getting really mad because I cannot play Mario because I didn't grow up playing it. So me playing it is like when a kid back in the day first got their NES and played Mario, and I suppose in the beginning they sucked, but they played it so much they got better. Like that's where I am skill wise. Like I just like can't do anything in that game. Alternatively, I grew up with the Sega Genesis, so I'm like a beast at Sonic games.
So Sonic,
like,
nice.
So
I can destroy Sonic 2. Like I can play through Sonic 2 in like 40 minutes. I love that game.
So when I saw people complaining about how difficult Sonic Mania was, I was like, what? I didn't get a game over once in that game. Okay, I got one
Sonic Mania, I think I picked up and beat the whole game my first run through. Like I died, but I didn't I never got like, oh, I'm dead, I gotta start from the beginning. No game over.
I did get
all through the whole game.
I did get one game over in that game, and that was on the last boss, and it was kind of because I didn't know what I was supposed to do. Because when you get teleported to fight the other members of the egg, I forget their name.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's like I thought that I had.
Heavies.
Yeah, the hard-boiled heavies. I thought I had to fight them, but you could kind of just avoid them. So I was getting wrecked by them, and I didn't realize. Oh, you could just avoid them. So when I figured that out, and I kind of like knew how Robotnik attacked, and kind of just like knew what I was up against. Yeah, I beat him on like my first try after that game over. So I was like, I almost felt like I didn't even get the game over. I almost felt like I just kind of took a step back to like
you sort of like screwed up on it.
Yeah, I was like, oops.
There's 3 bosses that kind of gave me trouble in that game.
There was a couple, yeah.
Yeah, the ninja guy at the end of Press Gardens. Mm-hmm. I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do initially. Yeah, and then the spider boss where the level's like scrolling upwards. I couldn't get the like timing or whatever to smack it into the wall. I finally got it. But like the first time I played through that was weird.
So
and then I remember I played Mania Plus, and I did get a game over my first time playing Mania Plus, and it was against I couldn't remember what the heck I was supposed to do. It was the boss in the caverns that didn't give me trouble the first time, but it goes up into the ceiling and like stalactites fall down, and then it like falls down into the lava or something below. I don't even remember. It might even be a mini boss, one of the levels, but or midway boss, and I couldn't figure out what the heck I was supposed to do against it. I got a game over.
There were a couple of bosses and mini bosses in that game that were tricky. I remember the boss for Oil Ocean, like the giant octopus, because I somehow kept getting like stuck under it. I don't know what happened.
I've heard a lot of people complain about Oil Ocean, but I think I've played Sonic 2 so many times, and like I know how to jump into the oil and like be fine.
Yeah, no, I was fine. I was fine with the level. It was just for some reason there was something with the boss where I would get stuck under it. I don't know what the issue was. I didn't get a game over on it, and I eventually beat it. But there was just something like oddly tricky about it, and I can say the same thing about the Sonic Mania Plus, like the new fight with Metal Sonic when he turns into Metal Sonic Kai. For some reason, there's something. I think it's like when I jump to hit him, I wind up going behind him. Like there's something odd where I keep falling in the pit behind him. and so I don't know what it is, but like people were complaining about a lot simpler things.
Yeah, I remember people complaining about Oil Ocean Zone, and since it's a Sonic 2 level, like I was good at it because Sonic 2 is my favorite Sonic.
Mhm.
And actually, the first weekend Sonic Mania came out for Switch, I had the number one like speed record on the Switch stats or whatever.
Nice.
Anyway, the online Switch thing for Oil Ocean Zone Act 1.
Nice.
I just I kept playing it until I got a really fast run. I'm probably way down there now because I'm sure people are crazy good at speedrunning Sonic, and I'm probably not even close anymore. But that first weekend, I got the number one spot.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that game had some tricky moments. I suppose if it was the reverse, where like you grew up with Nintendo and not Sega, so you didn't grow up with Sonic, I could see them being tricky because I certainly know the
weird. I mean, they're just different. They're just different.
Yeah. So because I certainly know the other way around. I can't play Mario. Like I can't play old school Mario. I could play like New Super Mario Bros. I could play Super Mario 64, Mario Odyssey. I can't really do a lot of the tricky hat tricks in Odyssey though. But
I got pretty good at the hat tricks, but I will say this about Mario Maker. So Mario 1 and Mario 3 and Mario World, like they all, like if you grew up with Mario, they all play a little different. Like the physics are slightly different and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And in Mario Maker, they kind of, I believe they made like a universal, physics engine for all of them, or at least they tweaked them to feel pretty similar or something. Don't quote me exactly on that, but I'm nearly positive things feel slightly different. So if you grew up with like original Mario 1 and you play Mario Maker, it feels a little different in Mario Maker. So that can throw somebody off if they're like a Mario veteran. Mario Maker is a little different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I suck at Mario, and but I like watching people who are good play like the crazy insanity of like I think they're called Kaizo, like the Kaizo levels.
Yeah,
where like you have to do specific, almost like game breaking things, but not
like throw something when you jump and catch it and get like slightly more movement.
So it's cool watching people do that, but it's. Yeah, I can't even play regular Mario. So, but
yeah, usually that's like Mario World stuff. Usually with throwing objects tends to give you those physics.
Yeah, in the first Mario, Super Mario? Just Super Mario Bros.
Super Mario Bros. Yeah.
I struggled to make it to the last level. I couldn't beat it though. Like I think there are 8 worlds. I almost got stuck at World 7. I just couldn't do it, and I somehow made it up to World 8, and that was my limit. I couldn't beat it. It was too hard.
See, I've done the like you can go from like was it World 1-2 and get the warp pipes and go to like World 4, which is like a level with like Lakitu throwing spinies down at you. And you can just like run through that level, and then I don't remember if it's the next level or the level after that. There's like another warp pipe, and you can go to level 8 or World 8 or whatever. So like I'm pretty good at like World 8 through the end of the game, like 8-1, 8-2, 8-3 or whatever, just because I've done the warp pipe through the whole game so many times. But I would struggle more with like World 6 or World 7, like if I try to play through the game without using warp types, because I just haven't played those levels as often.
Well, here's the thing. I like to experience the whole game first, so I avoid,
totally.
Like on my first playthrough, so I'll avoid shortcuts. And second, it doesn't matter because I can't do the last level anyway. So
you just skip to them and die.
Yeah, I was playing Super Mario World. No, I forget whichever one is on the SNES Classic.
Super Mario World.
Yeah, I was playing that with a friend who is good at Mario, and so we played multiplayer. And he pretty much beat the game for me. Like, I kept dying, and I think I beat maybe like 2 or 3 levels.
Yeah.
No, I beat like a few levels, but a lot of the later ones I just could not even touch.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm pretty decent at Mario, but I'm excited for Mario Maker 2, because first Mario Maker was great, and I was kind of like, well, that's it. Like, there's not really anything else they can do with side-scrolling Mario. Like, they just came out with, what was it, New Super Mario Bros. U like re-release on Switch, and I felt like that was like I didn't buy it, and I felt like it was sort of a step back, because it's like once people can make their own levels, like that's pretty much the end of 2D side-scrolling Mario, or at least like just continue to give us that. Like that's going to be the best. That's an endless game.
Well, what they would do to make newer Super Mario Bros. Games is newer power-ups and cutscenes. Like you can't replicate cutscenes.
Yeah, and the maps and stuff. I mean, I guess they could give us maps in Mario Maker or something, but I still just feel like no matter how much you do, if the game has 80 or 90 levels, it doesn't beat Mario Maker having infinite levels, and you can always just update it with DLC with new costumes and stuff, that would make the game new, or backgrounds or tile sets or whatever. So I just feel like, continuing to make the Mario Maker series is really the pinnacle of 2D Mario. So I'm really happy to see Mario Maker 2 add slopes, add new themes, lots more enemies and stuff. So I'm just excited. I'm excited to get my hands on that one.
Well, they're adding stuff from Mario Bros. 2, right?
No, they added there's a bunch of stuff that they're adding. Like slopes was the big thing, but there's a bunch of like new enemies and stuff they showed off already. I'm sure there's more stuff than what they showed off. But they added it's Super Mario Bros. 3D World, which was not a 2D side-scrolling Mario, but they have like that skin, that theme, as like a next one. Because Mario Brothers 2 it's the weird thing where Mario Brothers 2 in Japan looks pretty much exactly like Mario Brothers 1 with like a few. I mean, it's different.
Yeah, it was Doki Doki Panic with like a
and for the United States, it's Doki Doki Panic. Doki Doki Panic's in Japan, and they just basically skinned over that and called it Mario 2.
Well, they did call it Mario USA or something. So technically, it is still part of Mario. I don't know why they don't give us any Mario 2 stuff, because I was thinking with Mario Maker 2 plus the fact that we're getting that remake of Link's Awakening, that we will maybe see Wart in the game, because we'll have a new 3D model for him and whatnot.
Right, because Wart's in Link's Awakening. And it would have been cool to add Mario Bros. 2. I think the reason they didn't do it is because since Mario Bros. 2 is just like a skinned over Doki Doki Panic with like Mario skin stuff, it doesn't really play like the other Marios. Like you could update Mario 1 to play, like, because you're able to switch the theme like on a whim. So I could make a whole level in Mario 1 and then switch it to Mario 3 and it still works. But Mario 2, since it has like plucking vegetables and just
they can add those things in.
Yeah, but they'd have to add it to. They'd have to add that like a very core game mechanic.
Yeah,
not just like a power up, but a core game mechanic of like plucking
pulling things out of the ground would be an interesting mechanic to put in all the Mario types, whether it's 3D and whatnot. Like maybe one of the keys is like in the ground somewhere. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
or like the like the Shy Guys. They're very core Mario stuff, and
right, yeah.
And
so
they
like,
appeared in
Panic or Mario 2 definitely like is Mario canon, like you said, because they made it Mario USA in Japan, and like Shy Guys have continued to appear in Mario.
Birdo.
I think the bombs come from that initially and stuff.
Yeah, Birdo, and I don't know what else.
Yeah, Birdo. But I think the issue with putting it in a Mario Maker is like there's like plucking vegetables, but there's other things too, like just the way that enemies work. Like you can pick them up and stuff, and you wouldn't be able to do that in Mario 3 because like when you jump on an enemy, it tends to die. So you'd have to like because you're building levels. So if you built a level Mario 2 style and then you switched it to Mario 3, some way to beat the level might involve picking up an enemy, but then when you're in Mario 3, you can't pick up an enemy without.
Well, they would add that core into it.
That's the problem. Like the gameplay is just so different.
Then they can add that core into it, I guess.
Yeah, I just don't know if it meshes. I guess I don't know if I'm.
I know what you're saying, but I'm wondering if they can get around it with just like maybe not all Super Mario 2 things, but some Super Mario 2 things.
Yeah, I guess the toughest
like
thing
the mask that chases you when you get the key, like a couple of things that.
Yeah, I mean they added the sun. So the sun could be the mask when you're in Mario 2 mode or something.
Well, the key again is something you'd have to pick up, but like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can pick things up in like Mario World and stuff. It's maybe I'm not explaining it right with the picking stuff up thing. I just feel like what Mario 2 is, there's like some core stuff that wouldn't transfer over in a way that the level would still work if you at the end of the day just said, hey, you know what, I'm going to switch it to this, because they did like so you can get Yoshi in Mario World. and Yoshi can walk on certain enemies. So for Mario 1 and Mario 3, there's no Yoshi, but they added the boot, so you can get in the boot. So if you build a level where there's this stuff you have to walk over with Yoshi in a Mario World or one of the Marios as Yoshi, if you go to Mario 3 or Mario 1, it changes where you get Yoshi to where you get the boot, and then you can still get over that part of the level. I think Mario 2 would just, I'd have to think about it a little more, but I feel like there's going to be times when you would build a level and you wouldn't be able to complete the level unless you kept it Mario 2 style.
I see. Well, yeah, I think that's maybe a DLC thing they could put in. Or they could just have it as its own thing,
or you could just be locked into it. Like, if you make a Mario 2 level, you have to keep it a Mario 2 level. I don't know. Yeah.
I think they could make it work if they put some limitations on it. Because I'd rather have it with limitations than not at all. Because it is a staple of Mario, no matter how you look at it. It is Mario 2. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people are nostalgic for it. It has, like you said, Shy Guys and stuff, enemies people really like, and music and stuff. Just, it's a pretty classic Mario game.
Which, actually, did they have any Mario 2 music in Smash? I don't
Probably.
know.
I'm going to say almost definitely, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't know. But they even had the Game Boy Advance remake of that game that I think explored slightly more. Like, they basically explained that the place that throughout the whole game is actually a real tangible place called Subcon, and it is like a dream world. So it's not like Mario 2 was a dream the whole time. He actually went to this dream world and saved it.
Right.
So I appreciated that.
Access to your dreams.
Yeah.
There, actually, if I were to add another theme to Mario Maker, I actually wouldn't do Mario 2 because of what I said before. I would actually go for Mario Land, or specifically Mario Land 2 6 gold coins, because I think that game, it plays more like a traditional Mario game and has like the black and white Game Boy screen look to it, and would actually mesh better with the other ones. That's the old school Mario I would add.
A black and white Game Boy screen would be an interesting skin for Mario Maker.
Yeah, that's what I would have added, was Mario Land.
And maybe we would have Daisy instead of Peach at the end.
Yeah, you could have Daisy in there,
and you would have
Wario instead of Bowser or something somehow, I don't know.
Yeah, you would have, what's his name? I always forget his name. I always forget his name when I want to remember it, but otherwise I always know it. It's like the alien guy.
Tatanga.
Yeah, they would have him in there.
Yeah, he was in 6 gold coins. So that's the one that I would add.
Maybe in Mario Maker 3.
yeah. Or, I mean, Mario Maker had a bunch of DLC for it, so maybe Mario Maker 2 will have some DLC.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see what they do. It looks like they're adding a lot. It looks like there's multiplayer now. So, yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see people play it, because I can't. So what was one of the next things that was revealed? I'm trying to stay chronologically, but if we can't remember chronological order, we'll just talk about the Direct in general. But
sure. I know Smash was pretty early on, but they didn't show a ton.
Yeah, they showed the model for Joker.
Yeah, they showed the model for Joker, though it wasn't like, it wasn't like an in-game shot. It was like just, this is what he looks like. And
they
we
did
see that
show
he has
him,
like his knife sword thing.
They showed him land, so I'm assuming that's from gameplay.
Yeah, he like falls down and like does like a crouched animation or whatever.
And I know nothing about Persona, so
yeah,
I know of Persona. Like, I know that there's something where like each person has their own persona, so they're like almost like a stand in JoJo, if you will. But
yeah,
that's the extent of it. I don't know anything else.
I haven't played Persona 5, so I don't know anything about Joker specifically. I dabbled in Persona 4, I think, but barely. I've watched some friends play it. I know some stuff about like Shin Megami Tensei and Persona, like just the lore, but...
Do you need to play 1 through 4 in order to play 5, or is it standalone?
I'm pretty sure it's fairly standalone, because it's like a new...
Because I'm one of those people who needs to play all of them in order. Like,
yeah, I mean,
part of me is like, I can't play 5 until I play 1 through 4, and since I have no time for that, I'm never going to play 5.
Well, I'll put it this way. I know in 5, like, you're Joker, and you're not, like... It's not like Joker was in the other ones, so you're, it's his new story, so I don't think you need to play the other ones at all. But, I mean, I'm not an expert, so I don't know.
If it's kind of like Final Fantasy in the sense that it's like a new series under the same title of Persona,
Yeah, I don't think Persona's that like disengaged from the other ones because like Final Fantasy is like it's a whole new like universe.
Yeah, it's a new
I don't think
world.
it's like that, but
Like each Final Fantasy, the world is called, the planet is called something different. Like
right. Yeah, I mean it's
Gaia
completely
Spear,
there's nothing of the other games is in the game, but I
Mhm.
think Persona's a bit more connected than that, but not so much that like oh man, there was a cliffhanger at the end of the last game, and we'll find out what happens next time. I don't think it's anything like that.
Mm. Yeah, I don't
Um,
know, but I just still feel like, kind of like what you were saying about The Witcher 3, like, yeah, I guess you don't need to have played 1 and 2, but you just feel disconnected from the world if you haven't
Right.
played it. So that's kind of how I
Yeah.
feel, like, regardless, like, this world has been explored, and I would probably appreciate Persona 5 more if I had played the other games, you know?
Yeah, Witcher
It's
3
like starting with
feeling
Kingdom
like
Hearts 3.
it was like introducing characters I didn't know who they were, and I was like, eh.
Yeah.
And it felt like I was supposed to know who they were, but I didn't. So I just felt
that's kind
dropped
of what
into it.
I would fear about playing a Persona 5. Like, even if these characters are just cameos, I feel like I wouldn't know that, and like I
Right.
wouldn't appreciate those moments in the game. So I'd
Yeah.
just be like, I'd much rather play it after I played the other games, and I don't think I ever will. So unless they make a collection.
Yeah. But the other thing with Smash and the Direct, they seem to show that we might be getting some sort of new game mode with version 3.0 because they said, I think it was end of April, they're going to release Joker and
Yeah, I think they said no
3.0.
later than April.
Huh?
I think they said no later than April.
Yeah,
Or by
something like
something
that.
like the end of April, I think.
And they showed like a Switch and it had like a blurred out screen, and a lot of people are thinking it might be like Stage Creator or Home Run Contest or Boss Rush or some other mode. Like it feels like they're going to add more than just Joker. I'm kind of predicting we might get a mini Smash Direct that might have Joker gameplay, his stage, music, maybe me costumes, some new mode or two, and then the next character reveal.
Yeah.
And possibly gameplay and stuff for that character. That's my
I
prediction.
don't know
right now.
if it depends on the time frame. If they have that direct soon, then I don't think we would see gameplay of a new character. I think we would just get like a reveal trailer like they did for Joker at the awards.
Yeah,
But if it was a bit later, then
they might show gameplay as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see them doing like in April some sort of mini Smash Direct with, like I said, modes and Joker gameplay and stuff like that, and maybe at the end of it reveal character and also say like, and Joker's available now. Like right after this. So I could see that happening.
So I mean, I asked you this before we started, and do you know of any leaks that are kind of given credit now, thanks to this direct?
I mean, there were things that were called in this direct, like people called like, oh, Mario Maker 2 is going to happen. King Zell specifically was the one who like called the date of the direct, and not everything that he said is supposedly going to get announced. Like I think he said like Metroid Prime trilogy, but that didn't get announced. But that might be held back because of Metroid Prime 4.
Mm-hmm.
Other things, he said 2D Zelda, he said Mario Maker, he said Box Boy, all these things we did see in the direct. So like, yeah, I mean, he was right, but it's not like it's not like a Smash leak that has like a new character or something called something in this that now gives it credit. As far as I know, I need to kind of like look back through everything and see if anything did, but I haven't seen any. I haven't noticed initially, at least, anything that did that. So yeah, some leaks were right, but nothing that's like, okay, well, that leak's right. We know other stuff's coming besides maybe Metroid Prime trilogy, but I think most people kind of already thought we would probably get that. I think they're probably just holding it off because Prime 4 is coming out later, so they'll probably put that out to hype it up closer to it. They probably held it back.
I was also kind of interested in Fire Emblem Three Houses. I'm wondering if they're going to include any of those characters as DLC in Smash. I don't know what to expect.
Yeah, I don't know. There was some talk about Edelgard because her.
She seems cool. I like her. Yeah, I like her character design, and of course, I'm a fan of Christina V as a voice actress. So
right. Yeah, I was going to say,
listening to her
same voice actress as Shantae.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
who I guess was tweeting something that like it kind of turned into nothing, but people were like, "Oh man, are you tweeting about Smash?" And she had to kind of be like, "No, it's not about Smash."
But I hope that Nintendo saw that and was like, "Oh, people really want Shantae."
Yeah, I mean, it's just more push. Always more push is good.
I doubt if she's not gonna be like if she wasn't planned for like the Fighter Pass 1.
Yeah.
If we get another Fighter Pass 2, I would kind of maybe expect her a bit more. But I'm kind of not expecting her in this Fighter Pass.
See, that's where I'm at too. I mean, basically anybody who was a spirit, and I'm not saying spirits deconfirmed, it's totally possible we could get them.
Yeah.
But just logically, I have to say it's more likely that we won't be getting spirits. So I'm kind of, just going that way.
At least for Fighter Pass 1, because I feel like despite them saying that they came up with the DLC afterwards, I feel like it was probably planned during the development of Smash, at least towards the end. So any spirits you see are probably not going to be DLC fighters in Fighter Pass 1. But I would expect that that limitation would be off the table in a second Fighter Pass.
I completely agree. So I'm hoping we get a second Fighter Pass, because I feel like a second Fighter Pass would be closer to like fan wanted characters. Not necessarily that Fighter Pass 1 isn't, but that's just my guess, is that like things that have been demanded specifically in the whole lead up to Smash Ultimate might be more likely than whatever they chose for Fighter Pass 1. Maybe they'll even do a second ballot and then a second Fighter Pass. I'm obviously just speculating. But Fighter Pass 1, I feel like you said, even though they said, it was decided here at the end, I feel like it's more like they're working on the characters here at the end. It was probably decided a while ago, because they have to get the rights to characters.
Yeah, true.
I guess the other thing with like Edelgard, just to go back to that, is I like her design.
Yeah, me
like
too.
You have an axe wielder. That's something we haven't gotten from Fire Emblem, and that's kind of the sad thing with Fire Emblem, is that it has like Pegasus Knights. It's got a lot of interesting stuff you could do, and they just kind of did swordman.
We do have a mage and a...
Yeah, we have a mage, and whatever Corrin is.
Corrin is, I guess, a sword wielder, but they made him/her unique enough in Smash for it to be different. Like, they incorporated the biology of being a dragon of some sort.
Yeah. But I guess my thing with Edelgard is just I'm hoping we don't get any more Fire Emblem characters. It's not like, the thing is, if we were like 2 Fire Emblem characters back, like if you took 2 Fire Emblem characters out of the game and we hadn't gotten them, then I'd be all for like, oh yeah, Edelgard would be a cool rep. I'd actually prefer her over some of the Fire Emblem characters we got. But at this point, I'm just kind of like, you know what, the series is very well represented. I would rather see new games or series that have far less going for them. Well, but Edelgard herself, I do think she's a cool character.
Well, my stance on Fire Emblem in Smash is Fire Emblem has multiple games, I guess, in the same issue as like Final Fantasy or something. So like if you had a new character from a different Final Fantasy, you might say Final Fantasy is overrepresented, but they're each from a different game in the same series.
Vastly different games. I totally get that.
So I don't mind Fire Emblem characters from completely different Fire Emblem games. And that's hard to admit that we have when you have characters who are related to each other. Like Marth is a descendant or ancestor to Lucina, and it's like characters are related, but they are from different games, or different timelines. Some of them, like Chrom and Robin, are in the same game, and Lucina. But I wouldn't mind new Fire Emblem characters under like specific rules. Like 1, they're from a new game, and 2, they play very differently.
Yeah, I wouldn't want another just like whoever the blue-haired Marth descendant hero is in the next game. Like, no thanks. But
I also don't mind new Fire Emblem characters as Echo Fighters either, because
I mean, Echo Fighters way easier. So like, if we ended up getting like, I guess the thing is, we're down to the DLC. We're down to like 4 spots left in the DLC. Maybe we'll get another Fighter Pass. Maybe we'll get Echo Fighters in some other form or something. But if we're down to just 4 spots, I feel like Fire Emblem is doing fine. So I'd rather be, something different.
But if we were to get Fire Emblem, I wouldn't mind characters who are Echo Fighters, and I wouldn't mind a character who plays completely differently. Like Robin plays different enough from everyone else, so it's kind of like, okay, that's cool. Like
it's a very unique character. Personally, for Fire Emblem, I really wanted Lyn and Hector. Like that's what I wanted back in like the Brawl days. And we're far past them now. And it was mostly because we have no katana user in Smash, and we have no axe wielder, and I thought those would be cool movesets to get in, and they never did. So like again, Edelgard has an axe; it would be a cool moveset. But if it's between Edelgard and getting like, you can give me probably 15 game series that aren't represented in Smash and be like, okay, you can either have Edelgard or 4 of these different games. I'd rather have the 4 games just so Smash represents a lot of games for people.
I'm also curious if a character can have more than one Echo Fighter. Because we
haven't
now,
seen that yet,
but if we ever do, then I don't know how the stacking on the character select screen would work. But I'm surprised we didn't get or Celica at all. And if we ever did, I can see them at least being Echo Fighters. Like, I could see being an Echo Fighter of, I was going to say Roy, but I think
Chrom is a Roy, technically.
Yeah, but I don't know. He could be his own character. Like, I wouldn't mind if they made him unique enough. But I could also see Celica being like an echo of Robin to an extent.
Yeah, they could do that.
But if not, I can see an original character. Then maybe Tharja could be like an Echo Fighter.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of. There's a lot of.
I always thought Anna or Anna, whatever you say, Anna. I think.
Yeah.
I always thought she'd be cool as like because she's like she's in a lot of Fire Emblem games, and she's
I think she's the merchant in every one or something.
Yeah, so I thought she's a more universal representative. So I thought that would be cool, but
yeah. So again, I don't mind Fire Emblem characters under certain circumstances. I don't want to have multiple of the same character with slight differences. And that's not to say like all the Fire Emblem characters are the same fighter, but they're very similar in like other humanoid with a sword, and you're kind of like,
we have, like,
how do they fight with that? And a lot of them share similarities. But I wouldn't mind Echo Fighters, and I wouldn't mind completely unique characters. But I think people really want to see other series represented first.
Yeah, and
I kind of agree
on board with that. Like, even games that I'm a huge Zelda fan, but if it was between get another Zelda character or a brand new game series, I'd probably go with the game series. Mm-hmm. But that's just me.
Yeah, I would love to see like at least one Zelda character, like one more Zelda character.
I feel like Zelda needs more characters. It deserves more characters. However,
more because it has so many. But just look at Hyrule Warriors. There's so many characters in the game. And that's not even every...
I think of more characters you could add.
And there's still so many characters you could add in Hyrule Warriors. I really wish they would do another wave of DLC for Hyrule Warriors, but I think they're just done with it.
Yeah, I think so too. I
don't know who owns the copyrights to all the characters in Oracle of Seasons and Ages, because I think that game was made by Capcom.
Yeah, it was. Yep.
So does Capcom own the characters? Is that like a Super Mario RPG scenario where...
My guess is that whatever deal Nintendo made when Capcom did that game probably had the characters being completely under Nintendo's ownership. I feel like with Mario RPG, it was so long ago that the copyright stuff for things like that wasn't totally clear. But I feel like by the time the Oracle and Seasons game came out, Nintendo had wised up. And,
because my question is, I think at the time Capcom was under, not agreement or something, but they had some kind of thing where they would do 3 Zelda games, and then I think the third winded up being Minish Cap.
Yeah, it was.
Wrong. Yep. So, and we've seen characters like Vadi reused,
right?
But we haven't seen the Minish mentioned again. So it's kind of questionable.
But the Minish were almost in Breath of the Wild, supposedly.
Oh, really?
So my guess would be Nintendo does own them.
Okay. See, here's something I've been meaning to say. We are in the era of crossovers. Like, companies have been working with each other a lot more collaboratively and openly than they ever have. I feel like the era of crossovers started around Brawl. like Smash
Okay.
Brawl, maybe a little after. And I feel like Super Smash Bros. Had a major hand in kickstarting this with companies
totally
working it together, because now we have lots of crossover series, and it's great. I love it, but I just don't really see people talk about that much. How like we have so many crossovers and companies working together, whereas we never had that in the past. Everybody was kind of liking it for themselves for a while.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because like I think initially like 80s gaming, the companies just kind of did work with each other totally openly, but it just wasn't this huge industry that it is today, or it was up and
rare.
coming. So like you just had. Of course, Capcom's going to put their game on Nintendo. Of course, Konami's going to put their game on Nintendo. Like, why wouldn't you do that or whatever? And then the rivalry
because they didn't have their own. They didn't have their own systems, but
right, that too. And then all of a sudden, by like the end of the '90s, early 2000s, it's like that's when Square broke away from Nintendo. That's when Rare went over to Microsoft. It just became really. That's when Sega kind of fell and started just making its own games. It got like really cutthroat, really like who's going to take over the gaming industry, blah blah blah.
Well,
and I feel like something happened pretty recently where like I don't know, they seem way more into just collaborating with each other, way more friendly about stuff.
Well,
again.
I have a theory. I have a theory that the reason it took so long was because a lot of people who grew up with these companies, with these games. Probably a lot of the people working at those companies now grew up with them and are a lot more open to wanting other companies, Like in the beginning, the people who founded these companies were probably maybe more so in like, no, don't collaborate. But nowadays, people working in these companies probably grew up with all these different games. So they're more so willing to because they want to. So there's like a passion to collaborate now.
Dude, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like even the recent like Nintendo and Microsoft working together stuff. I mean, imagine the first people making, Xbox and stuff being like, yeah, we're going to take over. We're going to take down Nintendo and make this new thing. And, we're going to rule. And now you probably have people who, like you said, grew up with Nintendo games or whatever, working in the company.
In both companies.
Now they're 30, 40 years old, and they're probably like, oh, man, collaborate with Nintendo. Yeah, let's do that. That's
like,
way better.
You probably have people in both companies who love products from both companies who are just like I have nothing against
being new.
Like I don't have anything against competitor. I'm a huge fan of our competitor. Yeah. So like I remember hearing a while back, more recently than a while back, that Microsoft wanted to buy Nintendo, and so now we got Microsoft Live
working
or Xbox Live going to be on Nintendo. I feel like that partnership could have started from that potential buyer.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to sell our company to you, but we're open to collaborating with you. It's kind of like all these companies, God willing, Sony will too, but maybe one day. Is Sony's very like, no, we're the best, right? I feel like, have they done any collaborating things recently that maybe I just don't know of or forgot?
Not that I'm aware of. I will say, like, this happens often, though. Like, PS4 did really good, and Sony kind of got full of itself, I guess, is maybe the way to say it.
Yeah.
And so they don't want to collaborate.
But
last gen, like when 360 was super popular, like Microsoft was the stingy one who didn't want to collaborate, didn't want to do what the other companies were doing. So I feel like whoever's like on top at a certain time tends to do that. So I think that's just why Sony's doing that right now.
Well, hopefully, as more time passes, more fans from all companies, join these companies, and they start to open up more, and
Yeah, I'll say this on the note of just like gaming fans being the people who can start the conversation of like collaborating and just the betterment of all the companies working together. Sakurai himself he was a very, very young game developer. Like he's known for being really young when he made Kirby and everything. He was also a gamer. Like he liked to play Street Fighter, like in arcades and stuff like that. He was very much so a gamer and a game creator, and was young enough to like actually have the nostalgia and actually, he's not just some business guy making games.
Exactly.
He's actually right in the culture. So I think he is like really like that aspect to him is really important for why Smash Brothers was the first thing to do. Why don't we just put all this stuff together? Because I know like when he made, Super Smash Brothers 64, Nintendo was like, yeah, I guess you can use the the Nintendo characters, and then it was kind of like a little throwaway side project game for them, and now it's like one of their biggest
That
selling
was like
things.
the
But
first
like how tone
crossover for
deaf,
Nintendo.
yeah, like how tone deaf did Nintendo have to be to not realize that if you put Link and Mario and Pikachu and Donkey Kong and Yoshi and Star Fox, like if you put all these characters in one game, like people are going to go nuts. And that didn't occur to them. It occurred to Sakurai because he was a gamer and he was younger.
Mm-hmm.
So in the same vein, I feel like you're saying, if there's some young people at Microsoft or even some young people at Nintendo or wherever it is, they're way more open to doing these fan dream ideas or collaborations and stuff because they grew up actually thinking that, and somehow that was just it didn't occur to the old school game designers. Like, it didn't occur to them that like that might be something fans would enjoy.
They also might have had a more business mentality than creative mentality, because at the time it wasn't like a booming business so much as it is now.
True.
There's like a culture to it now.
Yeah, I mean, even if you think about like Sega falling under after Dreamcast, like there was nothing written in stone that said like Nintendo can't fall next, So they, now I feel like they're all just very more secured, and like that things are probably going to stay this way, or their companies are pretty strong and everything.
I would almost go so far as to say that Sakurai himself spearheaded this era of crossovers.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, you said Smash did.
He was like, because of him and because of Smash Bros, a lot of companies, I'd be shocked if they didn't see how successful and how widely popular crossovers can be.
Yeah, totally.
So
I know PlayStation All-Stars tried to do it.
Yeah,
but...
so they even tried to copy the formula. And maybe even if they're just copying the idea of crossing over, that is one of the things people want to see, crossovers. So that, on top of the fact that you have a lot of people who were really nurtured in the culture of video games for a long time now in the industry, there's a bit more. I'd imagine there's a bit more passion behind the creation of games. I mean, of course, there's always the business heads, the people with the money making a lot of the final say. But when it comes to the creation aspect, I feel like there's a lot more passion now than there used to be, maybe?
For a little while. I feel like there was a lot of passion at the beginning. It might have drowned out a little bit in the middle there, and now it's back. But I will say, I think those upper CEO type people that have the money, hopefully they're seeing the power of collaboration collaboration.
And I want to clarify, I'm not saying that old games didn't have passion. I'm just saying that I feel like it's more so now. More you see it more in companies now, especially with the fact that you have indie starters and people like fundraising games, and you see that people with a real passion are making things, and I'm hoping that that's showing the heads of these businesses, hey, games made by people with passion for these games are a lot more successful. And maybe they're not always seeing that, but that is a message that I'm hoping some of these companies are seeing.
Yeah, and I would say, because I think I totally get what you're getting at, like, it's not so much that there isn't passion in old game design, but there was maybe less passion in the company itself and their decisions. Mm-hmm. And now I think some of those more passionate people have gotten in control of the company decision stuff. So we see it in stuff like, hey, should we let indie people make games for our system? Yes, we should. Whereas before it was kind of like, no, don't put that on there. That sort of thing.
How ironic, because last time we spoke, we talked about how tone-deaf companies were.
Yeah, this is true.
And now we're like praising them. It really just comes down to like the decisions that are made, because you have tone-deaf people in these companies, but you also have fans and passionate people in these companies. It's a mix. So sometimes,
I think what we're getting at is that the fans are now starting to get their foot in the door. For instance, Sonic Mania. What we talked about last time was that how tone deaf the Sonic company is. However, Sonic Mania is a clear sign that if that's the direction we're going in, they're not tone deaf. That's the direction. That's the right direction. So
so there's like ups and downs. Like some of these companies are still tone deaf, but at the same time, they're also still learning and getting better. Like I don't want to say that these companies being tone deaf is like the end all, the be all end all for the companies. Like, a lot of them
Right.
are tone deaf and like making dumb decisions, but a lot of those same companies doing that are, getting better. So
It's slowly learning that listening to the fans or listening to the people with passion and the creators of games, like, is generally more profitable anyway. So, like, just learn to do that.
yeah, unfortunately, at the end of the day, money talks. So that
Right.
So if it costs money to collaborate, certain companies might not want to.
Yeah, if it's not going to pay off, they're not.
But if they have like a clearer indication of them profiting off of it, then like they would probably put the money down. It's really like, I don't know. I'm not a businessman in that sense, or in any sense, I guess. I'm more of a creator, so I don't have like the mentality of somebody funding a company to create me something that I have no passion for.
So, I will. So, yeah, this is definitely an era with a lot of collaboration and stuff, a lot of crossover. Actually, two of the biggest things are we were just talking about both of them, but Smash Brothers, huge crossover thing. Another big one is honestly Kingdom Hearts. I mean, it's Disney, Square, and a bunch of Square games. They have the Final Fantasy characters. They're like
and now Pixar
characters. Like, that sort of thing does sell. I hope companies take note of it. So,
and now Pixar, which has me wondering what kind of ownership they have now. Because of course, we're like all over the place, but that's fine. We're going back to Kingdom Hearts again. But I noticed more so in this Kingdom Hearts so far than previous ones. Unless this was in previous ones, and it's just that I'm playing Kingdom Hearts 3 now, so it's apparent to me now. But I feel like the worlds in Kingdom Hearts 3 are more important to the story in terms of driving something forward. Like, and I'm trying to figure out how to explain this without spoiling, but like here's a good example that like really doesn't spoil anything. In Monsters Inc., they have their power run on laughter, right? And then they make a comment like Goofy and Donald are like, oh yeah, our gummy ship runs on laughter, which is something that they said in the first Kingdom Hearts, like, oh, this ship runs on laughter. So it's kind of like they're kind of like oh, they're using the same energy we do. So it's like they make connections between the main story and these worlds more so than they ever really did.
That's really cool, actually. I like that a lot.
Yeah, and also the fact that they used to run on scaring, like the energy of the world used to be like scaring children. That actually plays a role in the end of the plot when you meet an organization member who's like, oh, but you still have these lying around, and that like drove forward. Like I was able to like become stronger because of that.
Yeah,
so it's like they're actually using things from these worlds to further each character's like kind of plot a bit, and they've never done that outside of like such and such main villain like Jafar joined the team, but it's like each world kind of like has something in it like that
connects to the main Kingdom Hearts storyline.
Just like Maleficent and Pete are looking for the box that was the Master of Masters. I'm assuming it's the same one that the Master of Masters gave to Luxu. But like they're looking for a black box, and so that's now important too, because when you get to the Caribbean, it's like the black box in that it has Davy Jones' heart in it.
Oh, okay.
So it's that's
really
so
cool.
so Sora and Donald and Goofy are like, oh, could this be the same box that they're looking for? Like, we need to get our hands on it,
So like the canon of these pre-established Disney franchises is being woven into the overall like Kingdom Hearts story.
Yes, which has me questioning if Pixar gets any ownership of the main story now.
Yeah, right.
But
that's interesting.
One of the interesting things about that box is what's inside of it is Davy Jones's heart, and hearts is a big thing in this series. So like I didn't beat the Caribbean. I'm not spoiling anything about it again. So just to be clear, but it's interesting because the organization wants that box because they're interested in somebody who can stay as a human or whatever they are without a heart.
That's so cool. I love the
like if you lose your heart, you become a nobody and your heart becomes a heartless. Or if you have a strong enough will, you become a nobody. Otherwise, you become
Man,
nothing.
that's like
but
so
it's
clever.
like, but
it's like
the
so
organization,
clever to weave that all in.
organization's like, there's a character, or there's somebody here who doesn't have a heart, and they're still human, and they're like, what kind of magic is this? Like, we need to know.
This is important to Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
So like, they actually have a reason.
So like, the organization wants the box because there's a heart in it, and they want to know what kind of magic is like
so
keeping
cool.
it going. So it's like every world kind of has just a little bit to do with the overall plot, and it's really awesome. That's so smart too, because like, obviously I would have never thought of that
pre-existing things that like weren't written for Kingdom Hearts, and like just putting them together. That's awesome.
Yeah, like even Olympus in the very beginning is all about trying to regain your powers, like
which is like the story of Hercules,
the power of waking, and it's like you know, throughout the story you're trying to get your powers back, and then you fight Hades, and I don't know. It's just like every world has to do with what's going on in the story. Yeah, which was not something that was really in previous games so much. So I really appreciate that.
Now you got me excited to.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Play it, because that sounds really cool.
Even the Toy Story world, which is very confusing, and I can't explain it too much without spoiling it, so I won't. But there's this idea of the fact that these toys, you know, have hearts, and unlike people, these toys' hearts come from their bonds with, I guess, their owners. I think. That was my understanding, but so then you have the organization wanting to test the limits of that bond.
Like, how does that work?
Heart.
So
like when you
that's cool, because Toy Story never really like
So when you
in
separate
Toy Story itself, they never like explain too much about like why the toys come to life. So it's cool for Kingdom Hearts to take that and make some I don't know, guesses at it or some storyline plot.
When you first get to the Toy Story world, a lot of the characters are missing, and there's a reason why, and that's not something I'm going to spoil, but the fact that they are separated from the humans and other toys kind of plays into the fact that the organization is testing like the limits of the heart. So it's like every world has something to do with it, and it's really cool.
That's really cool. So the final part of the Direct was Link's Awakening. We were talking about remakes.
I'm so excited for it. I'm so excited for it.
Dude, me too. We were talking about remakes with Resident Evil 2. You know, we were talking about the era of crossovers.
So we started with remakes, and now we end with
really
remakes.
Strong.
Yeah, we started with remakes, and now we'll end with remakes. Link's Awakening.
So man, Link's Awakening is one of my all-time favorite Zelda games. I absolutely love it, and man, as soon as I saw the anime trailer and I realized it was Link on a boat, I flipped out. I was so excited.
Yeah, I saw the water and I was like, "What is this?" And as soon as I saw, I think his boot or something, I was like, "Yes!"
Yeah. That was the moment that I noticed it too. Yeah. Was as soon as I saw the boot, I was like, "Oh my god, it's Link on the raft!" And I didn't even think like, "Oh, it's a new Zelda game." I was just immediately, I was like, "This is Link's Awakening." I know the beginning of Link's Awakening. This is Link's Awakening.
Yeah, I really like Link's Awakening because it's different from the others.
Yep.
It's like the same. It's the same formula, but it's different in aesthetic, I suppose, in certain.
Yeah, ways. Yeah. It has its own aesthetic. It has a lot of Mario stuff. Like we talked about Wart, but it's got Chain Chomps and Goombas, even little like Kirby characters, if I remember. Kirby-looking characters.
Actually, there's something I have. Two things I noticed, and one of them I just noticed now.
Go for it.
One was people are complaining about the style, but the style itself was kind of always there. They always used that as the 8-bit style was very chibi looking. Yes, but if you look at the in-game photographs from Link's Awakening, they were all chibi style. So that style is reminiscent of the in-game photographs.
Right, yeah, the whole photograph system, like the Game Boy printer, you could print out the little stickers of it.
Except for the official art. The official art was always more reminiscent of, like, the first Zelda game or something, where they're a bit more, like, older looking. There's 3 different, like, canon art styles to Link's Awakening. There's, like, the anime opening cutscene look that we got. That was, like, in a lot of the, like, the instruction manual and on the box and stuff looked like that. And then... or close to that, and then there was like the in-game photographs that were very chibi,
and then there was these other artwork. And I don't know where it was used, but it's like really dark. I know Link to the Past has it, and Link's Awakening has it, and it's like Link looks like a older than I've ever seen them portray Link, and it's very just like gritty fantasy world fighting skeletons and stuff. But I'm totally fine with the art direction they went with. I think it looks so cool. It looks like a little clay world, and that island is so like contained. Like just the feel of Link's Awakening is this like contained island you're exploring. I love the idea of it being a little clay map. I think it's
well,
gonna be
here's
great.
the other thing I was going to mention that falls along the line of a theory that you see in the opening he doesn't look chibi, and in the gameplay he does look chibi, and I'm thinking that maybe the style changes once you enter the dream.
Yeah, that could. They might even kind of address that or push.
I'm thinking
that,
the
like,
style. Yeah, I'm thinking the style is actually part of the story. Like maybe Link might say like he doesn't talk, so maybe like Marin or someone will be like, "What do you mean you look different than you did?" Like I could see them doing that, and
even if they open the game with the anime style, and then kind of just if they just make it get like all woozy, and then it pulls out into that, and then at the end of the game, like they could have the whole map kind of like turn back into an anime sequence, and he's just like on the raft in the water.
That'd be amazing.
Like, there's definitely ways it could portray.
It's like the Windfish's dream is chibi style.
Yeah. But I love Link's Awakening. It was kind of the first Zelda that gave like personality to the non-playable characters.
Yeah,
I always thought that was really cool of it.
Didn't Link's A Link to the Past have some character?
Link to the Past has non-playable characters. I mean, Zelda
maybe
2.
like Impa. Or like...
Yeah, Zelda 2 has non-playable characters, and I mean, even Zelda 1 has, it's dangerous,
true.
Whatever.
They didn't really have personality.
Right, but they don't have personality. It's Link's Awakening where you get like characters that feel like they have. It's this certain like wacky personality that continued. Ocarina of Time did it. Majora's Mask did it really hard.
You know what? Actually, and I feel bad. I feel like I keep interrupting you, but
I'm
so
ahead.
like excited about certain things to talk about that I keep
go
shouting out. But whether it was intentional or not, it really plays into the fact that you're in a dream and you're really getting attached to these characters, and you're really like, when this ends, these characters might not exist. And so if they were just regular, if there were NPCs that had no personalities, you might not feel so attached to the world that's going to disappear.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, just be like, oh, the world's gone, whatever. But in this one, there's multiple villages, multiple people you help out. It really feels like at the end there's this like existential weird feeling of, wait, all that's gone. And once again, Majora's Mask, I feel like they also gave the world and the characters a lot of personality, and also has this existential dread of the world getting destroyed. I feel like that all started with Link's Awakening, and people always give all the credit to Majora's Mask, but I feel like Link's Awakening, in a lighter, subtler way, did the same thing first. It was the first time Zelda kind of went that route, and I really like that.
Did the Oracle games come out before Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time?
Did what?
Oracle Seasons and Ages.
I
know it came out after
Link's Awakening. Out after Ocarina. I don't know about Majora's Mask. I'm feeling like they did come out after Majora's Mask, but it was definitely around the same time.
Yeah. Well, they definitely do have personality in Link's Awakening, and I'm wondering if they're going to try to. I remember they messed around with the placement of the game in the timeline due to how it like ends with Link on the on like the driftwood. And the whoever from Nintendo decided to make it, I think, before Oracle of Seasons and Ages, because if that's the right one, they put it before. And the reasoning was because they didn't want people to think that Link died at sea. So I'm wondering if they're going to make it a little bit more clear that he's good to go, and maybe he'll like, I don't know, maybe the driftwood will be bigger and he'll kind of be like sailing away or something. Or maybe he'll be like land in the distance or something. Like, I don't know. They might make it a bit more clear. Yeah,
land in the distance would probably be the way to do that. If you could like get a glimpse of Hyrule or Zelda or
Holodrum or Labrina. Like if they make it a bit clearer that's where you're going.
And then they could redo the Oracle games in the same style. That would be cool. Yeah. I'm down for that.
They don't need to, but
No, of course
that'd
not, but it'd be
great.
cool.
Like, they didn't need to remake Link's Awakening, but it is appreciated, and it's awesome. I'm also wondering if they're going to give the Nightmares some more personality, because there was no main villain in Link's Awakening. It was more so just that the Windfish, you were in its dream, which was never explained how you got in its dream. But you somehow winded up in the dream of the Windfish, which I would love for them to somehow explain. And then, for some reason, there's these nightmares that exist that are keeping it asleep. So it's like, it was so like, just general, that there was a lot of questions. Like, why are you in the Windfish's dream? Where did the nightmares come from? And why are they, well, obviously, they're keeping the Windfish... Yeah, they're keeping the Windfish asleep so that they can continue to exist, but it's like, well, where did they come from? Why is this dream tangible? And who is the Windfish? It's kind of like, I feel like there are questions that it would be great for them to answer in this, you know? Yeah, and maybe that would be the main villain, like whoever created the nightmares or something.
Yeah, I like the whimsical unknown aspect to it, but I would love to get a few little hints at like lore, just a few more lines here and there that maybe explain it a bit better. But it's really interesting that, like, at the end of the game, it's like, yeah, you beat all these monsters, but those monsters were keeping the whole island, alive for all the people that lived on it. It's so weird.
I think they were keeping the Windfish asleep, and you were trying to wake them up because it was the only way for you to get off the island. But it's kind of like, it's like bittersweet because then you have to make everybody disappear. But it kind of raises the question of, like, who's the Windfish, where the nightmares come from, and why does every time the Windfish go to sleep, it creates like a continent, and like, I don't know, it's just like it asks questions.
Is the Windfish like underwater? Is it just this big whale underwater that like was dreaming and Link got swept up into its dream? It's very unclear exactly what's going on, but it's so cool and interesting. And are the nightmares like in the Windfish's own head? Did these like dreams become self-aware and realize we need to keep it asleep? So
it's like, is the island itself, is Koholint almost like as if there's a barrier in this like manifested dream where once you enter you can't escape,
right?
So yeah.
So there was this really interesting theory. I don't know what your take on it was, but I never really quite got the whole like.
I don't think I ever really questioned it so much as I am now.
What?
I don't think I ever really questioned it so much as I am now.
So the character Marin, like, I know if you like beat the game
without
getting a game over or whatever, like she survives as well, or she like has wings at the end or something.
Yeah, she becomes a seagull.
She becomes a seagull. Yeah,
it's heavily hinted that the seagull you see is Marin.
Right. So this theory I read the other day, actually, because I've just been looking up Link's Awakening stuff. I had never thought about it this way, but so like Link's in a storm at the beginning, and the storm crashes him onto Koholint Island or into the dream or the Windfish's dream or whatever, however that works. But the theory was that Link got swept up into it, but a seagull also got swept up into it, and the seagull dreamt it was a girl, and that's who Marin is. So the only real people on Koholint, besides maybe the Windfish being real underwater or something, creating it, are Link and a seagull. And I never made that connection.
That's neat, but why would the seagull think it's a human with a father and has his own life, where Link clearly knows that he's doesn't belong?
Trapped there? Yeah. Maybe it's been there for so long, it's created this? Like, I don't know, but that's interesting. But think about this. So why would the seagull be able to create...
Could the other people in Dream be like fishes that were in the ocean and stuff? And
possible. But think about this. So maybe some of the things are just dream creations. Maybe they just are. They only exist because the Windfish is asleep. They're its dreams, and they're not any. There's no counterpart in reality. But maybe the seagull dreamt it was a girl in a similar way that like. So Link fights things. He goes to dungeons and he fights like Aghanim, I think is.
Aghanim is one of the silhouettes from the Nightmare.
Yeah, like Ganon is and stuff like
that.
Which
is obviously, I guess, them just reusing the model, but it could also serve as, whether intentional or not, a hint at lore.
Right. So is Link capable of, like, is Link's presence on the island creating some of what the dream is. Like, Link is thinking about it as, oh, you go to dungeons, and oh, you fight these enemies that I've fought before. He's creating all that from his own mind or whatever. So is the seagull just deciding it wants to be a girl? Maybe the seagull became a girl because it needed to persuade Link into going on a quest to free them from this. And so, it's created that vision of itself in its own dream.
Even more so,
because that's what Link does. He saves damsels. Like,
even more so is the seagull from Subcon in Super Mario 2 and remembering all of the Mario
Wart,
characters.
there you go. Or is Wart a hint because Subcon is also a dream world and Wart's a hint?
It's like, is Koholint part of Subcon?
Right, yeah, it might be because Wart's there and it's a dream world. It's very interesting.
I doubt they're connected, at least intentionally, but they could always connect them.
You can always make I love fan canon, like whatever the creators canon is, but fan canon is always fun to discuss.
Yeah, fanon and head canon.
Yeah, and Ganon, the bad guy.
My Ganon canon, fanon, head canon. I could see like Ganon creating the nightmare, but at that point in the timeline, I think Ganon's dead because
Ganon's totally dead.
It takes place right after A Link to the Past, and I can't remember exactly, but I think Ganon dies at the end of Link to the Past, and the whole point of Oracle Seasons of Ages is a twin Rovers trying to resurrect him.
Yep, that's
and
exactly.
He's a mindless beast in that endgame finale because his resurrection was cut short.
And he was in the dark world for so long he got like corrupted by his own like evil, greedy self.
So I mean, it could be was Aghanim Ganon in disguise, or was he just a servant? Because I've heard both, and I'm confused.
I've heard both as well, and I've never gotten a clear answer if that was someone that like Ganon was reaching out to from the dark world, if that was Ganon coming to the light world and that's Ganon, like that's Ganondorf in disguise. Or I never was positive either.
And A Link Between Worlds has Ganon resurrected and then died again, because I remember Yuga fuses with him, right? Because that takes place after Oracles.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's like, so it's kind of weird because I think in Japan, Link Between Worlds is just called like Link to the Past 2, and I don't know if
it pretty much is.
Yeah, it pretty much is, but I don't know if you're supposed to be the same Link or if you're supposed to be a descendant of that Link.
I think
I felt like in Link Between Worlds, I felt like I was supposed to be a descendant, but I don't know if the Japanese version is just like Link to the Past. Then he goes to Koholint. Then he goes to the Oracle games and their worlds, and then he comes back to Hyrule, and that's Link Between Worlds. I don't know what the exact canon is.
My understanding is that the Link from A Link to the Past, with the new timeline and everything, my understanding is that at the end of his adventures in Hyrule, and he kills Ganon. He then goes to Koholint. He gets washed up in the storm. At the end of that, he winds up going to Labrina or Holodrum. Either one, depends on which one you play. And in the end game of that, I think you actually go to Hyrule, or at least to stop Ganon. But I don't know if you're actually in Hyrule.
Stuff, when you link them together, is definitely like he returns to Hyrule.
Zelda's in it. I think Twin Rova kidnapped Zelda along with maybe Din and Nehru, I guess.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And Furore was like in
supposed
the tree.
To be a third game.
Yeah, but they put her in the tree that which is like an NPC, which is I guess okay.
It like reads out of books or something.
I'm just really curious what the gimmick of that game would have been, because Seasons has you switching the seasons of the games, Ages has you traveling through time, and I'm really curious what whatever it was supposed to be called.
I feel like
what the gimmick would have been. I'm like, unless they didn't know, and that's part of the reason why
they didn't make it.
Yeah, like I think that the official reasoning is that it was like time constraints, but the time constraint could also be, they just couldn't figure something out for it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it definitely like there's
time
constraints of, coming up with ideas is part of the creation process. So.
I mean, think about it. They did make 2 games,
right? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I may have read one time what the theme was going to be, but I could totally be misremembering. I don't know. I don't remember what it was. So.
Huh. I'm like I always thought about that and could never come up with an idea.
Yeah. Yeah, me either. I don't know. It's changing seasons, changing time, changing.
I mean, seasons is almost time, but it's kind of just like the weather.
Right. Yeah.
So if you think about it, it's like weather and time.
Yeah. I mean, so it's also just two different ways to split something up. There's like a past and future, the 4 seasons. I feel like there must be some other way to, cut up a time frame for something. I mean, the only other thing I can think of is like Majora's Mask style, where it's like repeating the same day, like make a whole game where the non-playable characters, go out through a 24, maybe just a single day instead of 3 days, but like they go through a 24-hour period, and then every time you turn on the game, I don't know, it redoes it, or at some point it resets.
I'd love to hear some theories or just ideas as to what a third could use, especially knowing who Furore is, if that's the correct goddess who was going to be on the cover.
Right. It's the green one, so I think that is Furore or Pharaoh or whatever. I don't know how to say it, but
which begs the question of who the third enemy could have been.
Yeah, that too.
Because I think Onyx and Varen were already in the Dark Realm or already imprisoned, and Twinrova set them free. I think.
Unless
I don't know
they
where they
meant
came
the
from.
Third game to be more like
Hyrule and
Hyrule with Ganon and Twinrova, and they just put that as how about when you combine them that happens? But that would make the game seem more important than the other two. I don't know. I don't know if they have done it that way.
I don't know.
Oh well, maybe we'll get. Hey, if they remake Link's Awakening, maybe we'll remake the Oracle games, and maybe we'll get.
That'd be so cool.
A third new one. That'd be awesome.
That'd be a lot of work, but it would be so cool.
If it took a couple years for them to pull all that out, if those are the next 2D Zeldas that follow that train, I'd be happy with it.
I love seeing new villains in Zelda because, it's like the same situation as Mario where we always have Bowser. It's kind of like, who else is a threat? And that's one of the reasons that Majora's Mask is so awesome, because you have something that's totally original, like not Ganon.
Yeah, it's totally different. I like when they do that with Zelda too. I mean, I like Ganon, I like the Hyrule, I like that, but it's cool to see other stuff too.
Yeah. By the way, the Link from Link Between Worlds is the same from Triforce Heroes. He winds up leaving Hyrule and goes on a quest.
Then do Triforce Heroes.
Yeah. Which also has a completely new villain, Madam something. I don't
remember it either, but I know what you're talking about. So with Link's Awakening being remade, do you think we're going to get Color Dungeon? Do you know what I'm talking about from Link's Awakening DX?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, I mean, I hope they add it because, it's a whole dungeon that was added to the game, but I don't know if they will. Also, do you think maybe is there going to be new stuff? Like, are they going to add anything totally new to it?
As long as they
a new dungeon for this game or something.
As long as they don't change core creatures like the Ivy. Good night, everybody.
From what I've seen, it looked like a 1-to-1 remake, but we've seen very little. We've seen a few, squares of the map. Basically, it looks exactly the same, but I'm curious if they change anything.
Yeah, me too. It's this year, so I can't wait to play it.
Yeah, same. Trying to think if there's anything else.
What else? I know there was a mention of Bayonetta 3 still being in the works, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, they mentioned it, and I think they probably mentioned it likely because it's maybe a little early in development. They don't want to show it yet, but they wanted to let people know, it is happening.
Well, one of the things I'm curious of is I'm assuming Bayonetta's going to get a new look. So are they going to add that as an alternate costume for Bayonetta in Smash?
That'd be awesome, dude. That would be a great... So, I was saying, maybe they'll do a mini Smash Direct and we'll get, Mii costumes, Joker gameplay, maybe some new modes. I would love alternate costume packs. I'd buy those up. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, they're sitting on a gold mine and they're not utilizing everything they can.
The Mario Maker 2, has Luigi in, the builder costume, and Mario has the builder costume. To him, too, now. Costume. So that'd be a cool one to add, too.
Yeah, especially with the new Dr. Mario game coming out for mobile. I'm wondering if we'll have Dr. Luigi in that game.
Yep.
So, you could give him an outfit,
Yep, that'd be cool.
Even though Dr. Mario is his own character, but...
Yeah.
I still don't know
I'd
why
be
he's
cool
not
with
an
that.
Echo, but whatever. um, a little disappointed we didn't get any information on Pokemon, but
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it though. Pokemon usually does stuff on its own. Like Game Freaks
yeah,
likes to do its own Pokemon Directs. I feel like we'll get a Pokemon Direct pretty soon.
yeah. And I'm really curious to see what leaks might have credit now, because I want to know what's more likely to appear as like Smash DLC now.
Yeah, I need to I need to look. That's probably gonna at some point this weekend. I'll probably make a video about like where leaks are at now. But I need to kind of like go through everything and relook at everything and rethink about all the characters and stuff. I haven't totally gathered my thoughts on everything yet. So
Yeah,
but I will.
well, you've heard it here first, folks. PapaGenos' uneducated guesses.
Yep, exactly. This is me with no research and no thought.
So I actually have a long comment by El Omni Alpha because he explained he was missing for a while because his phone broke. So
Okay.
I guess we could just go through that as our last thing.
Yeah, go for it.
Let's see here. So he says, "Hey guys, my phone broke and I just now got a new one, so that's where I've been. It wouldn't load videos longer than 1 hour as it overheated and shut down. Now to catch up." Well, that really sucks.
Yeah.
It took me forever to get the Supersonic Spirit. I don't even remember what the battle was for Supersonic now. Do you?
I'm in the middle of it because me and my brother are recording ourselves playing World of Light, so I don't think I got to it yet.
Okay. Queen Metroid was also obnoxious. I won using Richter and got it into what I call the Belmont zone, where approaching is impossible. I'm not sure what that is, but that sounds fun. It sounds funny, too. I don't think that was the DK and Lady fight. Peach is on your side, and you lose if she dies. You might have been thinking of Pauline. Yeah, maybe. I remember... I know he's referring to... I was talking about a spirit where I was having trouble, and Peach killed herself. That might have been the Pauline one. Was that a 4-star? Was that a legendary? I don't remember.
I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, I definitely know that like some of the spirit battles are just kind of unfair, and you have to kind of just cheat your way to beat them.
Yeah, DK and Lady, that was really hard. I got really lucky abusing, I think, Pikachu's... I powered up the electric and just kept using Thunder, and eventually I got it, but it was like, I'm never going to do that again. So he says, I have one thing to say about the Sonic movie. Oof, why didn't they just make it 3D like Nintendo's Mario movie? They learned Hollywood has never adapted Japanese IP to live action, and it'd be not terrible. I hope Detective Pikachu will change that, though. Yeah, part of this goes hand in hand with me not growing up with a Nintendo. So when I saw the Mario movie, that was like my first exposure to Mario. So yeah. I was completely cool with the Mario movie back in the day. Also, I have a tendency to be able to accept something as an alternate universe. So I'm a lot more lenient with adaptations because I know, okay, this is not the same. Like, this is a different...
Right, it's some other thing.
Like the Resident Evil movies, for example. It's a completely alternate
totally
universe.
Different.
But
totally
the CG
different.
movies are in the same universe. And,
right.
And they do it justice in terms of, like, the characters and stuff. So it's like, I just assume that it's a completely alternate universe. It's not set in the same universe. So this is a different Mario and a different Luigi. And it's like, I'm able to see it for what it is and not as, like, a continuation of the Mario because it's not.
So, like, the Mario Brothers movie, I remember renting it as a kid. I watched it, and, like, midway through, I think I, like, shut it off because I was, like, bored with it.
Yeah.
So
I understand where the disappointment comes from because it's not accurately representing what you know, and what it's advertised as. But at the same time, it's not that. But it should be as close as possible.
They have just not been able to break through like live action, either anime or video games. Like, I mean, there's been some like okay ones, but nothing. We haven't had like one come out and it's like. There's like tons of superhero movies. Like we haven't had one come out that's like, yeah, this is the one that's going to do it. So maybe Detective Pikachu will. I don't know. Pokemon's so huge. The movie looks. I have mixed feelings on it. It could be cool. It
I'm
could not be
excited
cool.
to
I'm
see
still open to it, but I don't know. It might be really lame. It might be really cool.
They had a new trailer, and Lickitung was in the trailer.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I don't know. The Pokemon look kind of strange, but I don't know. Maybe I'll get used to it while I'm watching the movie, and I'll like it. So I'm open to it. I'm open to it right now. I'm reserving judgment until I see it.
Speaking of Pokemon,
unsure.
You still play Pokemon Go?
Occasionally. I haven't played probably in weeks at this point, but I do. I will turn it on here and there, and sometimes all of a sudden, like if there's an event, maybe I'll get really into it and I'll go do a raid and I'll do the event. Like I do play it.
So for anybody listening, we're recording this on Friday, February 15th, and I'm hoping to get this out, upload this on YouTube tonight, or obviously it's not going to be tonight. It's probably going to be early in the morning, Saturday. But tomorrow, Saturday, February 16th, in Pokemon Go is the Swinub fan or community day, and I believe it's the only chance you have to evolve Piloswine into Mamoswine, and you need a Sinnoh Stone to do it. So if you have any saved up, I purposefully saved at least one Sinnoh Stone for this, so I could get Mamoswine.
Yeah, see, I haven't even been playing, so I don't think I have a Sinnoh Stone. Maybe I can go try to get one tomorrow.
Well, I can battle with you, and you can try to get a stone.
Oh yeah, we could do that.
You can only battle long distance with ultra friends and best friends. So you need to start opening my gifts.
Yeah, yes, I do. See, I never even open gifts. I probably have maybe one or two friends that I'm close enough with to even do that. So
yeah, well, keep sending each other gifts, and then we could battle to get stones.
I just need to get on actually logging in every day, opening gifts and hitting stops and stuff.
Yeah,
but I used to do it religiously, but I haven't in months.
They added new Pokemon too, so I'm behind in that sense. They also have, I think, until February 21st, field research tasks for a special Spinda with a heart over its eye, like a heart spot. So I gotta try to get that. But the requirement is to get 5 great curveball throws in a row, and I suck at that.
I remember Spinda was just to get a Spinda was to do a bunch of curveball throws in a row, because I think I got one from doing that.
I could do curveball throws in a row, but not great
ones. Throws. Yeah, that's tougher. Yeah, if you can find one spot that like a nest and it has the same Pokemon and it's at a not too far away distance, you can if it's a bunch of Rattata or something. I don't think Rattata nests, but a bunch of Pokemon, and you literally just waste Pokeballs, but practice getting great curve throws on that Pokemon, then you can usually do it. But if it's not the same Pokemon in a row, I have trouble doing it.
Yeah.
Or the same distance Pokemon anyway.
I've seen some tips that I'm probably going to try, but as long as you have the research task sitting there and you don't delete it, you should be able to catch the Spinda once you eventually get it.
So just basically or get a stop
just keep
that day or whatever.
Keep trying to get 5 Great Ball throws in a row for the rest of your life until you get that Spinda.
Eventually it's going to happen.
Maybe. So what else did he say? He says, fans aren't always right. Sometimes they don't even understand the core of a series like Pokemon and Smash, complaining about things they don't realize aren't what the franchise is about, and doing something new isn't immediately bad. Take Piranha Plant, no one asked for it, but by goodness, it is hype, and no one asked for Breath of the Wild. Yeah, I agree with that. I'd
agree with Piranha Plant. I feel like a lot of people asked for basically what Breath of the Wild was. I know a lot of people wanted a non-linear Zelda for a while there, but
I mean, it's true that fans aren't always right, but they're also aren't always wrong. I mean,
yeah, the core idea that fans aren't always right is true. Sometimes there's things you want that you don't know you want until you get them.
I mean, look at Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. A lot of people were like, "Oh, this is gonna flop," and it was successful. Yep. Yeah, and I think people were very surprised at that. So yeah, I try to keep an open mind to stuff, but there's definitely things that I wish companies would do, and I still do wish that they do it. But if they do something else, hey, as long as it's a good idea, as long as I have confidence in that company, if it's a company I like, it's made good stuff. But there are certainly things that fans are right about, or at the very least, throw us some cameos. I think we were talking about Gino at the time, and how we don't do anything with him anymore, and the characters introduced.
there's a balance there between like, yeah, the company should be able to come up with new ideas and give us new things. You know, these are companies that started things that we love, things that never existed that I love because they came up with an idea. But the flip side of the coin is, you know, when a company is just totally not doing something that the fans want and the fans are really pushing for something, at a certain point, like there's a balance there. The company should cater to the fans to some extent, and at the same time, you know, be creative and come up with new ideas that maybe the fans don't think of. But I think once a franchise or a creative idea is out in the public, you know, the public does have they have a desire to see where it goes and stuff like that. And I think that then the creators behind the scenes do have a little bit of a, it's a good idea to listen to that sometimes. You know, get the criticism,
throw
get
them
the
a bone
feedback,
to keep them as your fans.
Yeah, meet the fans halfway kind of thing.
Yeah. Like, all right, we'll have Gino pop up from behind a tree as a cameo, just to, you know,
just so fans,
like, oh yeah, he's there, yay.
Yeah, or just something like, I mean, King K. Rool was thrown aside for so long. It's like the fans wanted him back, and it's like, like when the company's just absolutely refusing to do something, and the fans don't give up. It's like at a certain point, the company should meet the fans halfway. It's you know, they're the ones who buy the thing, they're the ones who create the thing. Yeah. You know, both sides I think have a legitimate right to get what they want to make and what the fans want to have made. So it's a balance.
So then he says, at least for Nintendo, it's not their fault. They don't own anything from Super Mario RPG. Square does. Well, they own the Mario characters, right?
Well, they own the Mario characters. But I will say this: there's been a lot of Mario RPG references lately. Piranha Plants. Palatina's Guidance says Mega Smilax. It mentions it as one of the Piranha Plants. That's a boss for Mario RPG. And then in this last direct, in Yoshi's Crafted World,
I saw this. I think I know
in
what
Yoshi's
you're
Crafted World, there was a box and it says Yoster's Cookies, which like Yoshi's Cookies, you know, Nintendo, that's its own NES game or whatever. But the Yoster Island is like what they call the island in Mario RPG, and it's not anywhere else. So I feel like Nintendo may have bought back the rights or has some sort of deal going with Square right now for Mario RPG stuff, which is really exciting. If they're casually name-dropping things for Mario RPG.
That wasn't the thing that I was going to say. I saw something
else.
What
were you going to say?
I was going to say that one of the crafted things that you can wear is like a giant woolen Yoshi, I think, and it looks very reminiscent of the fat Yoshi that I think is.
Oh, okay. So. Okay, yeah. It appears Nintendo seems to be able to use Super Mario RPG stuff, because they've the last few minor things, we've had some very minor but still important things, because like when they redid Superstar Saga, the original Superstar Saga, there's a very small Geno cameo. When they redid it, no Geno cameo. Now we've had the Geno Spirit in Smash, and we have Mega Smilax being talked about. We have a few Mario RPG references in Yoshi's Crafted World. So it's like something changed. Something changed, because Nintendo wouldn't touch that stuff at all, and I don't think they legally could. And now they're doing it very casually. So something happened.
So is Square given any credits in Yoshi's Crafted World?
I don't know yet. We'd have to wait and see. Mm-hmm. Even if they aren't given credits, it's possible Nintendo bought the rights back to Mario RPG or something, or bought full rights,
or at least rights to some things,
or at least rights to maybe we can use the names or the designs and names. So maybe they made some new deal. So if some new deal happened, that's exciting. But I mean, I'm not saying that means Geno's going to happen in Smash or what. I'm not saying that means we'll get like Mario RPG 2. But it means something. Something's happening. To be able to casually drop this stuff when they wouldn't even touch it for years, very interesting.
Is Square still like notoriously hard to collaborate with, or is that changing? Or like, what do they have any crossovers recently or anything aside from Cloud and Smash?
Yeah, Square's done a lot of crossovers. A lot of other fighting games had like I think 2B got crossed over, and there was
true.
Yeah, there was a few other things, but it's always very like, I think Square always only gives out like 2 songs when they like add a character to a fighting game, and they like they do still seem very stingy or tough to work with. Though I think a lot of the way Square does things in house, I think like composers and art designers and stuff, I think have a lot of creative control over what they've made. I think that's sometimes where the difficulty comes from. It's just legally there's a lot of cooks in the pot in that point.
I think. Well, why would you put your cooks in a pot? Are you cooking your cooks?
What is it? Too many cooks?
I think it's just too.
Pot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just
too many cooks in the
cooks.
kitchen, whatever.
Too many cooks in the pot.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's going to ruin it too. But like, yeah, I think there's a lot of hands involved with a lot of Square IPs, which makes negotiations difficult. So, I don't know if that's loosened up or if Square is just more willing or what, but it does seem like they're loosening up a little bit. They have been,
I hope so,
sending out their stuff more. But it is always like a trickle. It's just a little. It's always just a little bit. So
I think part of it is what you said, where they don't own 100% a lot of the stuff. Like I think their composers have some ownership of the songs. I think
character designers own the characters. I do think it goes like that.
Has some control or ownership. I don't know to what extent of the characters in Final Fantasy VII. Like, and I've mentioned this before, I think on this show, that the Cloud amiibo has Tetsuya Nomura credited on it.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's
so there's got to be some difficulty. Actually, I'm curious if he's credited in the credits for the game. I'm not sure.
He might be. I don't know.
I really don't know.
It wouldn't surprise me. I
neither.
do feel like whatever kind of contract Square makes when they make their stuff is just they're just tougher contracts than the usual companies that the company itself gets full control of the final product and everything in it. I feel like they're a little bit more, I don't know, the creators, all the individual creators have control.
Let's see here. What else did he say? He says, I'm down for anything that will put Daisy in a main Mario game. I don't really have too much attachment to the character, but I know a lot of people do, so yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I've never had anything against Daisy. I think she's a cool character. I like seeing the wider Mario world. I'm all about adding more and more characters, Mario characters and expanding. So yeah,
I like characters being put in that people like, and like cameos and things. That's why, while I had no attachment to Ridley, I was excited to see him in Smash because I know how requested he was. So like things like that where, I see that people really want something, I kind of get on board the hype train, and I'm like, yeah, I want to see this character in, even though I don't know anything about them. But it's like, I start to join the team. Like now I'm on the Geno bandwagon, and I don't know anything about him. It's like I start to get attached to these characters that I know nothing about, and it's just because I know people want them in.
Right, I can appreciate, especially after I've heard somebody's explanation for a character, I can always appreciate that.
Yeah.
And if it's especially a character that's a long time coming, that's had a fan base, that I've interacted with that fan base for long enough, I will totally get on the hype train too.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of people say that some of the fan bases are terrible and stuff, but I don't follow them, so I don't know firsthand.
Yeah,
there's always the outliers anyway. The vocal people are not the only representation of the people who want those characters. Waluigi fans, for example. A lot of people like Waluigi, but I'm sure not every Waluigi fan was sending Sakurai death threats,
Right.
It's just the few.
I'm a Waluigi fan, but obviously I wouldn't be into that. I don't condone anything like that. But Waluigi is a Smash character. I'm totally down with that. Waluigi in more Mario stuff, totally down for that. But
yeah, so I wouldn't bash a fan base because of some stupid people,
Yeah, there's always some bad eggs, but
yeah, in everything, right?
Yeah, I don't think that discredits the rest of the fans for the character, or the character's worth standing on their own. Just that character is a popular, important, whatever, Nintendo character or gaming character, and deserves some recognition. So
yeah. Then he says, I can understand wanting to be thrown a bone every now and then, but I don't think we need to bend over backwards to destroy your vision as a creator just to please whiners. Yeah.
Yeah, again, I think it's a balance.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
my thing. I think creators should have creator control, do whatever they want, give the fans what they want to give them. By the same token, I think especially for big franchises where the consumers are the ones who's keeping it alive, and kept it alive for years and years and years, at some point you should give a little back, especially when they're being very vocal about something they want. I feel at some point the creator then has a bit of an obligation, a bit of responsibility to please the fans in that way, because the fans have helped the whatever the creation is become what it is today. So there's a bit of a balance at a certain point.
Yeah. He says, he's talking about Geno. Thing is, Geno is nowhere near as popular as people think, especially when compared to Square's other IP like Dragon Quest, Kingdom Hearts, and Tomb Raider. And with Sonic, the fans don't treat the fan games as competition, and they don't get advertised. In regards to Nintendo's two most notable cases, AM2R, which I'm not quite sure, a Metroid 2 remake, I think, and Pokemon Uranium, they got too big and were promoted over Nintendo's official products. Notice Nintendo only goes after the really big fan games, and it's because of the legality of defending their IP and their ability to be ignorant for if a malicious counterfeit happens. It's why they don't go after crappy mobile spin-offs. They don't get positive promotion.
Yeah, I mean, with fan game stuff, that's, again, I think kind of a balance. I think companies shouldn't be really harsh on fan-created content because, again, that's the fans. These are the people who like your games. These are
but you do bring
people
up
are keeping these things alive. But by the same token, I totally understand. You can't let people just make whatever they want with the product, because then the company loses control of it. And obviously, they are the ones who created it. They deserve to make money off of it and be able to create it and take it in the directions they want to. And then on the Geno comment, I mean, that's kind of opinion. But there's a reason that
Geno is.
What?
I really have no idea how popular he is. I just know he is popular.
I'll put it this way. I don't know how you measure popularity or whatever, but the fact that he is a one-off character from a 1996 RPG and we're still talking about him, and you can go just about anywhere that talks about Smash and he's still being talked about, I think that speaks for itself. There is a large portion of the Smash fan base, for whatever reason you want to give, that does want Geno in Smash and has wanted him in Smash for a long time. So,
I have two things to say on that. One is you bring up a really great point with the fact that a Metroid 2 remake and Pokemon Uranium, they did get big, and that is probably why they got targeted. A lot of the Sonic fan games aren't so big, so maybe that does have something to do with it.
True, yeah.
It's also possible Nintendo is just way more protective, or to an extent. I really don't know. I mean, I've heard of some Sonic fan games that were popular, but maybe they just weren't as popular as I thought they were. I usually don't play fan games, so...
Yeah, I mean, it matters where the fan games are coming from, too. Like, is Nintendo of America more conscious of it than Sega of America? Might not be so conscious if, Westerners are developing a Sonic game as opposed to Westerners developing a Pokemon game. And then as far as, like, the Metroid 2 remake, like, Nintendo actually made a Samus Returns game, so that may have played a part in them shutting that one down. Cause
it's also possible that it came about because the Metroid 2 remake was popular.
Right, yeah, so it could go either way, but, it is up to Nintendo to decide if somebody else is remaking Metroid 2 and they want to, or they decide to, or whatever it is. It could hurt sales. That
could send out the wrong message of remake a game and will remake it instead.
So there's that possibility.
Who knows? But the other thing I wanted to bring up was the fact that companies, because we were talking about Geno in particular, it's still strange to think that companies don't like to use some of their characters. And I know Geno is an exception here because he's owned by Square, but there are characters like in Sonic, for example. There's a lot of classic Sonic characters like Mighty and Ray, for example, that they don't use in modern Sonic anymore. And this has become more apparent or established that they are exclusive to classic Sonic, which begs the question of why.
Yeah.
Like, if you read the comics...
I mean, like you said, Geno's, it's a very specific, circumstance, but there's a lot of Sonic characters that don't get used. I think King K. again, is a really good example because he just got into Smash and kind of revived, but why was Nintendo not using him? Fans like him, so...
Who?
It's weird. I don't know.
King K. Rool, yeah. I thought you said Ganon.
Oh, no, King K. Rool.
Yeah. But yeah, like, because Sega has established very clearly at this point that there's classic Sonic and modern Sonic. And it seems that each one has its own cast.
Right.
Which I don't understand why overlap is not allowed, because you say, okay, if Mighty and Ray exist in Sonic's past, are they dead now? Like, where are they? And the Archie comics was allowed to use a lot of those characters that are now relegated to classic era only. And so now with the new IDW Sonic comic and the new rules, I suppose, they're not allowed in the modern Sonic. So the hooligans like Bean, Bark, and Knack, Mighty and Ray, I'm assuming characters like Honey, anybody who's really appeared in a classic only is probably not ever going to be in the modern game. And it just begs the question of why. Like, these characters have fans. And so,
especially in like the middle, the transition to like modern Sonic and classic Sonic, it's like, you know, when they were making modern Sonic, it's like they make Sonic Heroes, and it's like, yeah, put Vector in, why not? But if they hadn't done that, would they have then been like, you know, oh well, Vector's a classic only? Like, who? How did they make that decision? When did they cut the cord? You know, and be like, okay, this is the line. This is when the line is drawn. Like,
there's probably too many cooks in that pot.
There was too many cooks in that pot. That's what happened.
Yeah, because you probably had like one person, the person who made or responsible or has the power, let's say for Knuckles Chaotix on the Sega 32X, it may not be the same person who made Sonic Heroes, who may not be the same person making one of the newer games. Like, you know, it's the similar teams and company, of course, but who knows who's in charge of that particular project. So each person is going to influence, you know, what happens, I suppose.
I don't know who gets the final canon say about how people have to do it.
Which really makes me wonder, who are these people that when things get licensed, for example, these people who represent the company to say, like, you're allowed to do this and you're not allowed to do that, like, how do they know? Like, who do they report to that tells them that? Like, who has the final say in what is and is not allowed? And how come they don't talk to them directly? Like is there like a Bible for like, okay, Sonic's not allowed to do this, or like any company in general? Like if you're licensing Mario for a movie, for example, it's, even though I guess Nintendo's the one behind that. Like, I don't know, just for an example, if you're going to license Mario, like, who at Nintendo do you talk to, and that person that you do talk to who tells you what Mario's allowed to do and what not to do, who tells them that? And like, because I just kind of see a bunch of people sitting around a table who came up with, for who knows why, like, things are allowed to be the way they are, and then they change over time because new people decide, okay, this
something different.
You know, it's like, who says that? Like,
it's very strange, and it's like we were talking about creator control of content, and it's like, if you have a big character like Mario, obviously not one person is making everything that Mario has. Like, you know, whoever's making a comic has total control, and whoever is making a game has total control, and whoever's making a movie. Yet they do have to, like you say, adhere to these certain rules. So it's like, I don't know, it's a weird thing between creative control to take a character in a direction and, you know, have some new artists take that character and go somewhere with them. But by the same token, they can't do certain things, and I have no idea who's making that.
Like, imagine,
or how that gets decided.
Imagine you're the creator of a Mario game, for example, and you create a Mario character, whether it's an NPC or someone in the background or something, that you're like, oh, I really like this character I made, and Nintendo owns it now, fine, whatever. But it's like, you want to see that character used again, and then like, Joe Schmo Comics licenses Mario, and their licensee or whoever says, no, you're not allowed to use this character. It's like, you're the one who created it. It's just like, why can't you be like, yeah, I want you to use it? Like, it's so weird because there's so many cooks in the pot that it's like, who knows what the other's intentions are? And it's like, you may be making these rules thinking for the better of the company, but you're not in charge of the company, so who are you to say that that's the right move? Right.
It's very
like,
strange.
Who comes up with the Bible of what's allowed, like if Mario's allowed to cry or not or something? You know?
Right. That's a very, like, it's a weird thing because when you talk about, you know, I don't even know what to call it, IPs, franchises, whatever, something like Mario or Sonic or whatever it is, when they get so big, you have the original person who created the character or characters, the people who created the individual times that those characters appeared. Like if the person who created Knuckles might not be the person who created Sonic, or the person who created Vector. It might be somebody else from one specific instance of that IP being used. Then you have the company that owns them, is making money off of them. You have, again, the original creator, but then you're going to license it out to, like, say, a comic artist to now further the character, or a new game developer to further the character. And there's so many people involved, and it has a business side to it. It has a individual creative control side to it. It has an original creator side to it. There's so much going on with that type of product and characters. It's very weird, very messy. But yeah, it's really weird that there are, like, certain rules, or when those rules finally get broken because the fans want it. It's like, I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, I just don't understand why. Like, I remember reading the Archie comics, and it'd be like, special thanks to so and so from Sega. And it's like, well, who are these people? And
yeah,
from the licensing department, like, they're not Mr. and Mrs. Sega. It's like, how did they know, like, what's allowed to be used? It's like, it's so confusing. There's just so many cooks in the pot that it's like...
You're not going to let me live that down.
No, that's going to be the name of the episode. Too many cooks in the pot.
Cool.
And I'm not mocking you for it. It's just funny.
No. It's fine.
It's just funny.
It's funny.
So what else did he say? He says in bold letters, "Play Rune Factory, Papa." He says it's better Stardew Valley.
Yeah. I've I know about Rune Factory. I've dabbled in it a little bit, but I'm more of I played more Stardew Valley and more Harvest Moon back in the day. But yeah, I do know about it.
Mm-hmm. I haven't played either, so I don't know anything about them.
Yeah, they're cool. They're fun if you like farming simulating games, which doesn't sound fun, but they are.
He says, my top 5 Brave predictions. Number 1, Yuri Lowell. Isn't that the guy from...
Tales of.
Tales of.
And I'll just cut you short here real quick, because I have to get going pretty soon here.
Yeah.
And if you're getting me into 5 possible Brave prediction characters, I might be talking for another hour.
Okay.
But you can go over real quick.
We won't go into detail with them. We'll just...
Right.
I don't know where the Brave comes in from Yuri. But,
he's part of his guild is called Brave Vesperia.
Oh, okay. Number 2 is Erdrick. Number 3 is Agumon. Number 4 is a Bravely Default character. Number 5 is Neptune. I'm not sure who Neptune is.
Yeah, me neither. I'd have to know from what game, because it's obviously a pretty... And
I don't know where the Brave comes in for Agumon. And I'm a fan of Digimon, but I haven't played all the games, so I really don't know.
Someone did tell me what Agumon's connection to Brave is. I have it written down on a notepad file somewhere, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay, let's see if I could read through the rest of this. He says, the way I see it, you're working backwards. You should be looking for a character who would have Brave chosen as their code name, not a character that just so happens to have some obscure relation to a predetermined code name. And I agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, you should find something that has Brave. I mean, it's a code name, so it's entirely up to how Nintendo decided to code it. It's very possible we get the character Brave, and they have nothing to do with the word Brave, and they just, I mean, sometimes you make a code name, and you code name something is far away from what it is.
It could be an ironic name. It could be a cowardly character.
Yeah, exactly. You could do the opposite, or it could have absolutely nothing to do. Like, I could code name a character Hat, and he doesn't wear a hat. And it's just I just used a word because we're codenaming it. We don't want anyone to figure it out. So, in-house, we just know what that means. But if you're outside the loop, you don't get it.
It could be like an inside joke kind of thing in the company. Like, what if all the other DLC characters have hats and this one doesn't? So they nickname him Hat because of that. And it's like, who can Hat be? He has to have a hat. And it's like, no, you're totally off the mark. Yeah,
it could be a completely in-house idea for why they codenamed it. It was like, for instance, if let's say we were making Link's Awakening, and we had to codename the game whenever we talked about it because we don't want people finding out we're making Link's Awakening. But one time when we were talking about Link's Awakening, I said too many cooks in the pot or whatever, so we codenamed Link's Awakening Cooks.
Yeah, exactly.
And because, they're making a Cookie Mama game? It's like, no, they're not making a Cookie Mama game. It's just a completely arbitrary name they chose based on something they decided that they would remember, but no one else would. So that's possible too. I think it probably has to do with the character, based on Joker's being Jack, or most likely Joker's being Jack, but we don't know.
I mean, Joker could be because Jack could be because Joker is not a Jack card; it's a different card.
That's possible. It's also maybe Jack isn't Joker. Maybe we're getting Jill from Resident Evil, and it's Jack and Jill, and it's a joke.
That'd be so cool.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm just excited for the Legend of Cook's Pot's Awakening. Then let's see here. He says, I personally don't believe the full DLC leak, and I doubt Nintendo wants to do anything with Bethesda right now. I don't know. I don't know anything really about that. I don't know much. I
don't know if Nintendo would want to do anything with Bethesda, but I also don't really believe the full DLC leak. So
Then he puts a timestamp, and I don't know which video that's from because I'm looking at a list of comments that all in all, and not looking at the separate videos. But also, I wouldn't remember what it's referring to. But he says actually Sakurai said he has never been involved in any third-party negotiation. It's always been Nintendo. He only meets with the original creators a few times to get approval on how they want their baby represented. Fans are often even more tone-deaf than CEOs to be on. Okay, I think that's just a different point that he's saying. A character can be both a smart investment and a fan favorite. Like if the remaining DLC was Erdrick for Japan, Yuri/Lloyd, Shantae, Crash Bandicoot, would people not be happy with that? I believe they would. Like Joker, just don't try and force characters and let them happen naturally, like Simon, K. Rool, and Ridley. They're fan favorites, but their inclusion isn't objectively detrimental from a corporate aspect.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Ridley and Simon are definitely fall into that. I think K. Rool's a little strange, or not strange. It's pretty obviously a fan chosen character. Like I like K. Rool, but I don't think we would have gotten K. Rool had the fans not spoken up. So
also, my stomach was making noises as I was reading that, so I'm sure the mic picked up down that.
That's all good.
Not everything is on the table, Alpha. No Goku. Oh yeah, so Alpha must have said that everything was on the table. In regards to Ganondorf not having his Twilight Princess design, it might have to do with the hitboxes on his sword being different as it's smaller. I didn't notice that, but that's neat.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they just went with this classic Ocarina of Time design,
but
which I'm happy with. I like that design. So
I also think he swings the sword fast enough for it to not matter, because it's not like he pokes it out or anything. He just kind of swings it, unless you're talking about the length being shorter, which...
Well, they might have wanted to... So, like, fans have wanted him to have a sword for a while. Ganon hits hard. Like, that's his character. He's going to hit hard. If you do Twilight Princess Ganon, he has that little white sword, like the light sword. And I think it maybe just doesn't read like a really powerful attack. If you weren't a Zelda fan, you'd see that sword and you wouldn't think like, oh, that's going to not, make me go flying. But if you do Ocarina of Time Ganon and you do that sword from, I think it was like the E3 trailer from way back when that he has, that's the one that they gave him. It looks more like you're going to get hit far. So just from a game design perspective, you might want to give a character that hits hard a big massive sword, especially if the fans are saying let's give him a sword, we want him to have a sword or some sort of weapon. You give him the sword, but you got to give him the big massive sword if you want him to still have that feel to the character. That would be my guess.
Then he says, it's cool, Papa, I can understand wanting Gino, but I don't understand why you would ever expect him to actually get in. I don't know. I mean I feel like almost anything can happen.
Yeah, I honestly feel like if we had gotten Gino instead of Piranha Plant, people would be singing a different tune. I mean, you could say the exact same thing for K. Rool had not gotten in. Let's say we got Gino instead of K. Rool, and we're in that timeline, and we're sitting here, and let's say I was a huge K. Rool fan, you could be like, I honestly don't know why you'd expect to get K. Rool in. It's like, well, it's up to Nintendo. It's just
it's like you're limited to.
Can't happen. Maybe K. Rool was too wrapped up with Rare, and Nintendo didn't want to license him all the time to use them. Maybe they have to do something with Rare. Actually, the same thing with Gino. I don't know. So
you got the amiibo. On the bottom of the stand, who's the credits for K. Rool?
I didn't open it, but let me see if the box says anything.
Because I'm curious if it says Nintendo only, or if Rare or anything's on it. Because I think Nintendo's the sole owner, but this is our chance to find out.
I think all the amiibos have the same licensing information on them.
Yeah, honestly. But if he was owned by...
a lot of the new amiibos are actually in Japanese. I think they have a universal box now, so there's a lot of Japanese writing on this box. So I don't know.
Really
It'd take me forever to look through all this, see if Rare's on there, so just gonna have to leave that as a maybe.
And then the last thing he says is, Roddy Tops is playable in Friends to the End. And he's referring to Shantae. And I think, is Friends to the End a DLC? Or I think something I didn't play, but I have to play.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't follow Shantae super closely. I played some of the games. I think she's a cool character and stuff, but I don't know close enough to know specifics from especially newer stuff.
Yeah, sometimes I just want a portal gun. And to travel to some universes that have alternate versions of things. Like, I want to go to a universe where Shantae's playable. I want to go to a universe where the original classic Powerpuff Girl cartoon never ended, and I want to see, like, how a 7th season could have been. Like, there are certain things where I want to see, like, continuations of shows.
I feel like at a certain point that's like a monkey's paw thing, because, like, I love classic Simpsons, but I can't even watch modern-day Simpsons. And I feel like that may happen with other shows if you kept them going forever.
Yeah, but, I mean, in that case, you just be like, oh, well, it's in another universe, so it's a good thing that didn't keep going.
It's a good thing is that, at least you know.
But alternatively, if it winds up being really good, then you're like, crap, we could have had that.
We never got it.
And then you can go to the universe where they have DVDs of that, and you can bring it back with you. And be like, the unofficial official continuation from Universe 5 to
I'm excited for it. They're making like an Invader Zim movie, and I'm pretty sure Hey Arnold got picked up for a new season recently. I think they're also bringing back like all that and Are You Afraid of the Dark? I'm a big Nickelodeon fan, so I'm excited for a lot of cartoons.
Here's the problem with Powerpuff Girls is they already made a reboot, so
it wasn't that good.
They've already muddied the water with in terms of a new, like if they were going to continue the classic, they would have a marketing problem, whereas differentiating between the two, like
the new Powerpuff Girls cartoon,
it's just called Powerpuff Girls, just like the old one,
right?
So fans differentiate it with in parentheses they put 2016 after it.
Yeah, like Sonic 06.
Yeah, exactly.
So the Powerpuff Girls cartoon show is just a weird little fact thing. So I went to high school years and years ago, and I was pretty good friends with my art teacher.
Did you know?
She was just really cool and stuff. She actually lives on the same street as me, so I'm like friends with her on Facebook. And I guess some student that went to high school after I went to high school graduated, went to college somewhere, and actually worked on the new Powerpuff Girls cartoon show. I think she just did background design art, but my art teacher posted something on like Facebook about like, oh, I'm so happy that she got a job like in the industry and stuff like that. So I before the show came out, I was like, oh, that's really cool. Somebody like that went to my high school is now working on Powerpuff Girls. Like, talk about, having your dreams come true. And then, the show wasn't that good.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
I mean, not her fault. Just did the backgrounds, I think. But
I've heard people talk from on the show that they had that the way it was written and the way it worked was like there wasn't much passion in it. I think that they that it just seems to really push some political agendas, and I don't want to get into that because that's not something I want to discuss on the podcast. Stay away from politics and religion. I think that the problem was people just wanted just like the old things, like the old cartoon, like what they grew up on and what they loved, and they wanted something similar. But then again, the cartoon's not targeted to them, it's just targeted to kids in general, I guess. So I really don't know how to treat a reboot when it's years and years later.
Yeah.
But it's clear that there was some, I think, poor decisions, like recasting the Powerpuff Girls.
That's what I was going to say. Was I don't know about any other controversy, but the one thing I did hear about it that people were bummed about was when it was first coming out. The they didn't get the original voice actresses and actors, and they didn't. I don't think they even asked them or something like that.
Yeah,
they were like
they weren't even like on the table.
They didn't even ask us.
Yeah, it's terrible. So, and I gave it a watch. I felt sick to my stomach physically when I watched it in the beginning.
Ouch.
Then after some time, I gave it another shot, and like it was watchable, but it wasn't great. It was just like, this is okay. This is a very soulless cartoon.
That sounds very similar to my thoughts on I won't get into it, but Teen Titans Go is like at first I was like, oh, this is awful, and now I'm
It
just
just
kind of
had
like,
no soul or passion in it. It's
Yeah,
just like, these are the girls, and they go to school, and they have powers that you'll never really see them use, and they
it
have a
just feels
villain.
like why even use the? I mean, I know why they use it, because it sells, but like, why take something that already exists? Why not just make something new?
They
If you're
basically
just gonna take something old that you don't seem to care about,
They basically
like,
took a
and make a
different-
new version of it, but
they
whatever.
basically took the plot of like they basically made a new plot. Like the Powerpuff Girls was always like, these are superheroes that are also wind up being little girls, and they go to school and they also have a life of their own. And then the reboot took a 360 where they're like, these are girls that go to school, blah blah, and they also have superpowers. So it's like the superpowers take a back seat to the fact that they have a social life, and
That's
like,
weird.
That was like
I
the
didn't watch it,
complaint
but
that
I can
I've heard
totally.
too.
I didn't watch it, but I can totally understand how that feeling or the change in dynamic of what the focus is would be not the right direction to take that show in. But you know what? A lot of times that can be like the company, because somehow like stupid producers and CEO people or whatever, especially for cartoons, they always want like the cartoon to be like about kids going to school. Like it needs to be relatable. It needs to be relatable to the audience.
Yeah,
I remember, like,
but it was fine when it wasn't.
Right. Well, yeah, no, it's usually better. I mean, so if the artist
People
has
don't
control of
want to
making...
come home from school and then watch a show about kids going to school.
Right, yeah. Or like there's some shows that do that, like Hey Arnold did that, Recess did that, and that's fine.
Yeah, but
those were
school
made for
wasn't
that.
the focus of the show. It was
Right, if that's
being
not
in
the
the
focus,
city, and I don't know. It just wasn't. I don't know.
Well,
It
like,
just wasn't
so-
what it was about.
So Invader Zim, Jonan Vasquez had said that one of the toughest things with doing Invader Zim was that he wanted the show to be a lot, like very sci-fi. He wanted them to go into space a lot. He wanted a lot of different alien races to show up and just do stuff. And like that was where he wanted the show to go. But Nickelodeon wanted the show to be about Zim going to school. And that's not really what the show was supposed to be about. And the school and the characters in the school weren't like, built to be like something kids would enjoy watching. Like, so, like they're generally.
I feel like
human characters were 90% like gross. So like,
I feel like they hit a nice middle ground with that show, though. Honestly,
Zim was great.
I love Zim.
But I guess Jonan was just fighting with Nickelodeon the whole time because Nickelodeon wanted to turn it into an alien going to school, and Jonan wanted it to be Invader Zim. What he wanted to do with it, and basically what we got. But I guess it was just a fight constantly.
Is that
That's
why
what
it wasn't renewed?
Huh?
Is that why it wasn't renewed?
I think there was a lot of aspects to that. I think part of it was, I could probably talk about this for a long time, but part of it was some higher up person at Nickelodeon, her daughters like didn't like the show, and I guess she was making like tons of bad decisions around the time, which is why like Nickelodeon became almost nothing but Fairly Odd Parents and SpongeBob, because those were like the only shows her daughters liked. That happened for a little while there.
Did she get fired?
And I don't know why she had so much control. And I like SpongeBob, I like Fairly Odd Parents, but like there you go.
Yeah, but you can't bring bias into business.
Right, and so
did she get fired? Because she should have been.
Invader Zim was selling like Hot Topic back in like the early 2000s. Like it was full of Invader Zim stuff. Like there's tons of merchandise. It was clearly making money, and they like pushed it onto like a Sunday morning, like a terrible time spot. So, and then the other thing I guess was Jonan fighting constantly for creative control. He was also, I think, usually trying to push more mature things in Zim, and Nickelodeon didn't like that. So there's a constantly struggles to rewrite lines and stuff. And then in Zim was also a very expensive show to make. It used a lot of computer animation stuff. The look of it was very expensive, so Nickelodeon ended up pulling the plug. Personally, I think it probably could have made money, considering how much merchandise and how much people were like, I mean, people wearing Gur shirts was like a fad for years, and Zim was still like barely on television while that was happening. So
where's Netflix? They should just pick it up and continue it.
Yeah, I mean, supposedly they're making a movie. They're going to remake like a movie that like it also was supposed to have an ending. Like there's supposed to be a final season with an ending. Never happened. So I guess we're getting a movie. I don't know if the movie's going to be an ending. It got turned back into a comic. So hopefully we get more.
Yeah, at least comics tend to, continue some shows that were canceled. I don't know if the
comics I think are easier for creators and the people writing the comic to have more control and go places. So,
but I'll tell you one thing that the new Powerpuff Girls ruined was they were doing Powerpuff Girls comic that used the old classic girls, and that comic I thought was really good. And then,
cool.
And then it wound up getting canceled, and I'm assuming it's because the new cartoon was coming out, and they probably wanted to market that instead. So
Yeah.
I was buying the Powerpuff Girls classics, which were graphic novel reprints of the old comics. They were great. I was buying those graphic novels. I was buying the comics of the like comic continuation, and then it just all got canceled, and then the new reboot came out, and I'm assuming that's the reason why they probably wanted to rebrand it.
Same time, that's probably why.
And that I was so upset because it was like a tease to me. I always wanted to read those comics, and for a while it was like, oh, now Andrew, you're finally going to get to read the Powerpuff Girl comics, and a new one came out. So you're a fan of the Powerpuff Girls, you're going to get some comics to read. And then it was like, oh no, here's a reboot.
What a tease.
Yeah, it was terrible. Imagine getting like a comic continuation for like Super Mario RPG or something, and then like,
instantly
gets canceled because they're rebooting Super Mario RPG without Geno.
It's just totally ruined.
It's just like,
totally change it.
Why?
Yeah.
It was
yeah, that does happen sometimes, sadly.
It's sadly no excuses. So I pray that like Cartoon Network can re-release the old one as like Powerpuff Girl Classics or something like that, because the graphic novel for the old comics was called Powerpuff Girl Classics, so I can see them making more from the original and giving it the Classics subtitle.
Especially if I don't even know if the new Powerpuff Girls is still on. I have no
idea.
Yeah, I mean I don't think it's doing that great.
I hope it's done.
I haven't heard much about it lately, so maybe if that goes away and they don't seem so, like, oh, we don't want to get people confused. Like, if it's been out for a while, who cares? You're just re-releasing something that's classic and older. Maybe it'll put them back out. Yeah,
because I know the guy who was writing and drawing the Powerpuff Girl comic that started and then got canceled. I think he was setting up something, because I remember like Jojo did something and he like went into space and like he was setting up the story, but then when he found out that it was getting canceled, he kind of just like made like a quick ending to it, and it was kind of like anticlimactic.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, so it was just like I don't remember it, but like I just remember hearing about that, and I was like, oh. But it was so good. It was funny too. It was like the first arc was about like Mojo Jojo. I guess he was because he was always constantly losing, he just wanted to lose his powers and be a regular monkey again. And I don't remember what happened. I mean, obviously he returned, but it was really good. It was like interesting. It's like, oh my god, like I want to find out what happens. And then
actually like compelling storyline.
Yeah, it's like, that was like the best Powerpuff Girls I've seen it since like the series ended. It was like, it was so.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, and now we got Powerpuff Girls twerking in like the new ones and lots of internet memes.
Yeah, I really haven't watched it. I knew that girl that apparently went to my high school was working on it, and I knew they didn't get the original voice actresses, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna bother then.
I heard that the reboot got better, but it was just like it was so mediocre. Yeah. I was just watching it, and I saw maybe like less than 10 episodes, and just thought like, this is okay.
I feel that from a lot of modern day cartoons where it's just kind of mediocre.
The same art style with the same like
bubbly
circle head and the bubbly circle smile.
Stupid like it's. I mean, I don't dislike Fairly Odd Parents, but it's that like Fairly Odd Parents look where it's like very crisp lines, clearly done on a computer, clearly done because it's cheaper and easier to animate than actually drawing anything, or even having a style. And like all the cartoons tend to look like that.
Yeah, not only that, but the Powerpuff Girls, some of the styles were redone. So like the professor's not angular anymore. Like any point on him, like his pointy chin and stuff, he was always a square in design. Yeah. And like they rounded all the points, and Some of the characters they had Miss Bellum go away, I think because like some kind of again politics with feminism and stuff, which I don't want to get into. But she was a core character. She was the brain of the mayor, so she was a strong female lead, and they got rid of her. And
Powerpuff Girls was also very it was formulaic, like it was very the core characters are pretty important in the way that the general interactions between the main cast is pretty important to how the show functions. So
but
I
also,
don't know. I'm probably not too interested in watching.
Miss Bellum was almost like, I wouldn't say motherly figure, but she was she taught the girls things about being girls.
She's definitely a strong female character.
And so without her, I don't know who takes on that role, because I didn't watch it enough to really know. I mean, maybe Miss Keen takes on that role. I don't know. But all of the background characters and the backgrounds themselves are a completely different style, and the girls just don't mesh with it anymore.
Oh, that's weird.
Like, if you were to look at the old characters, you remember all the characters in their kindergarten class, where obviously the Powerpuff Girls were the only ones with the bug eyes and no fingers, but they still different. Fit in with the tiny characters with different shapes. But I don't know, I'm thinking of Mitch Mitchelson, Bully Kid, who was a completely different drawn style. Yeah, but he was different design, but he kept within the style. And all of the characters in the reboot, all the background characters, are in this new style of cartoons, and the Powerpuff Girls are not, so they don't mesh well. It's so weird. It's kind of it's characters they remind me of characters like Steven Universe characters, which as a show I never watched, but I know I'm familiar with his design. So imagine all Steven Universe design characters and then the Powerpuff Girls. It's they don't.
It just doesn't match.
It's it's just weird.
Yeah, I don't know why cartoons just don't seem to have the passion, the style, the creative. I don't know, the passion's I guess the word they used to. Well, yeah, so I probably got to wrap things up here.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're talking for almost 3 hours now, so I hope that makes up for the late episode this week and the no episode last week. I think in a couple of weeks, I'm actually taking a trip back to New Jersey, so I'm not going to have my microphone with me. I'm not lugging that on the plane and stuff, so I might not be around for that. I don't know if you or Alpha or anyone else wants to record something that week and put it up. We'll have to figure that out, but there's a good chance that in a couple of weeks there might not be an episode. So yeah, we'll figure that out. Other than that, now that it's 12 a.m., I usually listen to the podcast as I'm editing it, and I don't want to sit around for another 3 hours, so this might come out tomorrow night. Which, sense. If you're listening to this, you're not waiting a day because you're already listening to it. But it was probably recorded a day before you're listening to it instead of the day of. Also, I would really like to chill out, relax, Max all cool, shooting some Kingdom Hearts 3 outside the school.
I got that.
Yeah. But yeah.
Get Genie and Kingdom Hearts.
Yo. Actually, I don't think Agrabah's in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
I'm in the Caribbean
joking
right
about
now.
The Will Smith Genie thing.
Yeah, I caught that. I just was thinking of Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
But yeah, was there anything else you want to say?
No, I think I'm pretty much done.
Yeah. Alright, I guess same here. As always, you can follow whatever's in the links below, and you know the gist by now. Well, 2 or 3 listeners listening to this. But, the same. If you follow my comic, I'll give you a shout out. If you have any questions, any comments, anything, feel free to type away in the comments below, and then we'll try to give you that reading shout out on the show. It seems like El Omni Alpha is really the only one who does that, so I usually just read his comment.
There you go.
What if we ever get to the point where we have a lot of comments, then it's like we'll probably each have to pick one and read it. But as of right now, he's like the only comment, so I just always read his.
Well, that works.
So yeah, but yeah, I guess that's it.
Alrighty, catch
Cool.
you guys later.
Later, guys. Bye.
Bye. Sometimes where the difficulty comes from, it's just legally there's a lot of cooks in the pot in that
Yeah.
point.
I think. Well, why would you put your cooks in a pot? Are you cooking your cooks?
What is it? Too many cooks?
I think it's
spoil
just
the
too.
pot?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
too many cooks in the kitchen, whatever.
Too many
whatever the
cooks
saying
in the
is.
pot.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's going to ruin it too.